Hello and welcome back to another Slay the Spire stream. I'm your host, Vegetablebread, and we're going to be continuing our Watcher win rate project here. Trying to get 3 in a row. We had a heartbreaking loss to the Heart on Friday. Had a infinite combo deck, well capable of comboing on turn 2, but we died on turn 2 instead. Drat. Pretty much I was going to do a boss swap Snecko Eye is the flavor of the day. That's weird. What do we do about that? Well, still probably doing 3 elites if we can find them, and we can, but we have to do a Mega Elite first. That means we have to do 4 hallway fights in a shop before the elite. Seems challenging. I'm not sure if I feel super confident in a Snecko Eye Watcher. There's only a couple of cards that get decosted, Eruption and Vigilance. Other than that, strikes and defends get worse. We only get to play on average 2 cards a turn, since the average cost of a card is 1.5 and we have 3 energy available. Some turns will have more, some turns less. The turns where we have less are the scary ones. How much do you value gameplay in comparison to chat interaction? Yeah, I don't. It's not so much as a vague question as it is like a, and I say this not trying to be rude, but like a poorly formed question, right? Like the intent of the question isn't really clear, right? I don't really see gameplay as opposed to chat interaction, right? There doesn't seem to be any inherent conflict there that would make me choose one over the other. I guess if I was doing like a really fast-paced game, like the name Twitch.tv would imply, then maybe I'd have to be so focused on the game that I wouldn't be able to answer chat. But I value chat interaction highly, so there you go. I think that probably answers the question. I also just tend to enjoy games that lend themselves to being talked about. Okay, so I think we're probably not doing this left line. I think that probably gets us killed. It does have 2 bonus fires. You know what? Gosh, though, if we go here, I guess we could go do these first 2 floors, and then if we decide we don't want to do the Mega Elite, we can go right and get 2 elites. That seems fine. Okay. Alright, let's do it then. This does force us into an early shop, which is super awkward, but I don't see us getting around an early shop. It's here, here, and here, so the only way to skip it would be specifically this path. This path's okay. It gets 2 elites, but it only gets 1 fire. There's 2 fires available here or here for the other one, so we're going to go for one of those extra fires. And get forced into a shop. Shop versus fire. Shop wins. Well, this is one of them bad turns when Snecko decides we don't get much of a choice. We could play 2 cards, a strike and a defend, or we could play a single vigilance. We'll never play any of these outside strikes, because it's a cheaper one. This might be like slightly blasphemous, but I think I'm going to vigilance. It blocks for more than defend, and it banks up some energy for next turn, so we get to eruption and use the energy. Hopefully he's blocking next turn. Try and save some health. Yeah, he's blocking. Get him. Alright. That's a dead jawworm. I think that's about as low damage as we could have taken. Windmill Strike is kind of nice because it costs less than its normal cost, right? Its normal cost is 2. Snecko Eye is going to make it cost, on average, 1.5. However, retain cards are sort of to be avoided in Snecko Eye decks. Because, you know, they get costed really expensive, and then they're stuck in your hand, and then you're sad. I think I'm going to pick it anyway, though. If we have a 3-cost Windmill Strike stuck in our hand, that's not like a disaster. That just means we have to wait until we Eruption when it's doing like 20 damage and then blow somebody up. says strike on it. There's relics that count strikes. It's the only attack available. It's decosted on average. Not happy to take it, but I will do it. He has effectively 24 health. That means if we can double strike him, he dies. And we can double strike him, so he is dead. Okay. What are your thoughts about Snecko Start? Above average? Yes, certainly. Snecko Start is a really good start. It gives you a lot of problems on turn one, or on in early Act 1. Because your deck is not ready to be a Snecko Eye deck. But it gives you a ridiculous amount of power in the long run, and being able to build around Snecko the entire game lets you do silly things like pick Swivel. Swivel is absolutely bonkers in Snecko Eye decks. It gets decosted, and it decosts something else. Seems ludicrously good. You can even save the decost effect for a future turn if you don't have any expensive cards in your hand right now. Absurd. Swivel and Snecko Eye, a classic combo. We don't want either of these. Follow-up is kind of cute because it can cost 0 with Snecko Eye, and then it can be energy positive. But that's not the expected value. The expected value is that follow-up costs 0.5 energy. Okay, so our start was Windmill Strike Swivel. Swivel also, like, ameliorates the worst kind of Windmill Strike when it gets stuck in our hand for 3. We can just swivel and play it for 0. We also have a Flex Pot and a Fire Pot. There's some pretty good potions. We didn't lose much health in the early hallway fights. I think all the signs are saying go. I think we go left. No, yeah, you're fine. It's all good. I like talking to chat, having people in there. All right, let's go left. This is a little bit ambitious. Could die in Act 1. We can Swivel Eruption Strike, which is, like, fun. Actually, we can Vigilant Swivel Eruption Strike, too. If we Vigilant Swivel, we actually don't take any damage from the Spike Slime. So we could do, what it would be, 12, 21 to Spike Slime, or to Acid Slime. Draw Windmill Strike, use it to kill him. Oh wait, that wouldn't kill him, because we'd be weak. Interesting. I mean, worst case scenario, we like use Fire Pot to solve next turn, right? In your opinion, Snecko Eye is an average relic for Act 1 and 2 reward, but one of the best swaps you can build for it. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like one of the best, because that's reserved for a Pandora's Box and Black Star, and like, but it's like a tier 2. It's like, it's as good as like maybe Astrolabe or like Coffee Dripper or something. It's good. It's not, like, incredibly good. Alright, I'm gonna do the Vigilance Eruption play. I don't know exactly what next turn looks like, but I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, we can just bonk them both here. Not crazy about any of these. I do normally like a Cut Through Fate. We don't really... So the thing Cut Through Fate is good for is drawing a bunch of cards. And we already have Snecko Eye, which draws us a bunch of cards. So I'm not super wild about playing a Cut Through Fate in this deck. Cut Through Fate gets, on average, its cost increased by Snecko Eye. And it only does 7 damage. Cut Through Fate's just like, it's taking up a slot that a Wheel Kick should be filling, right? We want a Wheel Kick in that. But what do you find fulfills you? I'm curious because I'm having issues attaining it. Is streaming fulfilling? It's an interesting question. I mean, what do you find fulfills you? Life is hard to pin down, you know? It's not like you can just reliably be like, I like eating Snickers bars, so whenever I eat a Snickers bar, I'm happy, right? And then just be like, bam, got my happiness solved. I'm just gonna eat a Snickers bar every day. That's what I'm gonna do. Because, like, you know, you're just not, it's not gonna, you're not gonna interact with any of the elements in your life the same way every day. So I'm really creative and I like making things and sort of thinking about how things work. And that's really driven me to games and game development. So I really enjoy making video games and talking about video games. I think I have a great life. I think I've really piloted this ship to a good place. I'm pretty happy here. But I don't know. I mean, what do you find fulfills you, right? Like, I don't know. It's in the little moments and things, right? It's hard to answer that question in absolute terms. I think we're gonna skip a cut through fate. Is that stupid? Do we die to Gremlin Knob here if we skip cut through fate? We've got a shop here. If we want to buy a cut through fate, we can just buy one at the shop, which is a waste of money. But I'd rather not pick a cut through fate. Sands of Time is busted. Snecko Eye, Sands of Time. That's almost certainly getting picked. Leaves us with 44 extra gold. That's not true, 64 extra gold. I wanted it to be 44 because Mental Fortress costs 44. I probably don't want to pick Mental Fortress, though. I would love to afford Sands of Time card remove, but I can't. I'm just happy picking a Sands of Time. Okay. Moving on. First hard pool fight, and hard pool it is. Yikes. Actually, do we have lethal? 7, 27, plus 12, 39. Lethal with either potion. We should probably take a potion. We found 2 potions. This is our 4th hallway fight. So we're back to 30% here. Actually, we can't Sands of Time and Windmill Strike. What am I talking about? That's way too much energy. So how about we like Fire Pot, Sands of Time Strike, kill the Jawworm, and then strike the Spike Slime, save the Windmill Strike, proc it. Leaves us a Flex Pot for the Elite fight. I guess I'd rather save the Fire Pot if I can. Fire Pot's way more helpful for like assassinating a sentry on turn 2. So can we kill the Jawworm with the Flex Pot? Max damage is going to be Sands Strike Strike. So that's 3 attacks, 15 damage out of the Sands out of the Flex Pot, 35 plus 12. So yes. Okay. How important do you think mathematical skill, and in particular mathematical intuition, is for Slay the Spire? I don't want to give away too much about my answer, but I think the phrase mathematical intuition is an oxymoron. I guess it's not, right? It's not really. But I think that what you're phrasing as mathematical intuition is just part of math, right? Saying mathematical intuition makes it sound like it's something different, but having an intuition about like the shape of a cubic function, right, is like it's just useful. That's just a mathematical knowledge, right? You know that the different ends are going to point different directions because it's a cubic. They have to. It's not really an intuition. That's just something you know. It's Do we have lethal here? Probably. 9 plus 22 is 31. We'd have to play the strike as well. So it'd be like Vigilance, Swivel, Eruption. Yeah, we definitely have enough. Okay. The WAP. I definitely think mathematical reasoning is very useful for playing Slay the Spire. I don't know. I don't know how to answer the question. How important? Sanctity draws cards. Drawing cards is good with Snecko Eye. It'd be our second block card. Pretty awkward to have a deck with a Swivel and a Sanctity in it. Yeah. Alternate things we could pick here is Battle Hymn. Actually, Battle Hymn is not terrible. We've got 2 retain cards, so if we pick up an Establishment, we're pretty happy to be decosting things. This would be the second Snecko Eye Establishment deck that I've built in the past week, and that's a terrible idea. It's an awful plan. You don't want to randomize the cost of things in your Establishment deck, but here we are. So Battle Hymn would do a bunch of damage. We've already got a bunch of damage. Sands of Time Windmill Strike presumably is enough damage for Act 1. Sands of Time in particular is a ton of damage. I don't think I'm picking Protect. Sanctity is quite nice, though. Yeah, I think I'll pick a Sanctity. I mean, got some pretty good potions. Sanctity should be pretty safe here. Alright, it is Gremlin Knob. Picking a skill before Gremlin Knob. Not where you want to be. Swivel and Vigilance. We only get to play one of them. Both of them help us save energy for next turn. Swivel might save us 3 energy. But we're probably going to want to play the Eruption first. So if the Eruption costs 0, then Swivel doesn't work. You think there are a lot of mathematically aligned concepts at play. Or maybe just an understanding of probabilities and similar ideas is a better way to put it. Even something like identifying there's some likelihood of gaining a new potion, so using one to save health now makes sense. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff. I feel like... maybe I'm coming around on the term mathematical intuition, because like I feel like having just played a lot of deck building games, like played a lot of Dominion, I just feel like I don't know if I could calculate when the time to switch from one strategy to another is, but I feel like that's a really important skill to have. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of just babbling. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of math in Slay the Spire. But I think a core part of game design is you have to make stuff that isn't math, right? There's math. There's like math to determine the moment-to-moment things that are happening. Oh, look, a bot. Obviously, because they're being done by computers, right? And like the very first video games were like trying to automate things that were happening in tabletop games, right? It's like trying to make things easier. I mean, I guess there's like the first ones are like, you know, 2-player tennis and Pong and stuff, right? So whatever. Those are doing something uniquely video game. But like a lot of strategy type video games are just using computers to automate a bunch of stuff that you wouldn't want to do in a tabletop context, right? And all of those things end up being math, right? So there's definitely a lot of math going on. Some would say too much. Okay, so as predicted, I think we're going to play Eruption first. Okay, 0-cost Sands of Time. That's about as low as the cost can go. I I think we probably get lethal this turn. 9 plus 22 is 31, plus, assuming we dupe pot the Sands of Time, that's lethal. It's 80 damage. What do you think the win rate would be of a fully fleshed out, pseudo-perfect Slay the Spire bot? It sort of depends on what you mean by pseudo-perfect. The easiest way to write a bot would just be to take the Java source for the game and just like try different paths through the fights, figure out the one that ends with the most health, and then like predict what your future card rewards are going to be and plan around them, and that sort of bot should have a 100% win rate. And anything short of that, you're sort of just like, you're putting limitations on it, and those limitations come with win rate costs. I mean, the best possible human invention is definitely 100%. It's well within the range of human capability to make a perfect Slay the Spire pot. So the real question here is, am I willing to use Dupe Pot? Can I get lethal with Fire Pot? Fire Pot's probably easier to use here. So we do Eruption, that's 9, plus 22 is 31, plus 40 is 71. Leaves him at 39. And we would have 2 energy left. So we'd only have 1 strike available. Yeah, so we can't do it with anything short of Dupe Pot. We could wait till next turn and just take 16. Seems really foolish and unnecessary. Pretty happy to use Dupe Pot to save 16 health. Bonk. Alright. Akabeko. Akabeko, not a good friend of Sneko Eye, but that's okay. Akabeko is just an additional 8 damage per fight, and that's okay. We're offered another Cut Through Fate. And we got a loud cat. What do you want, cat? Oh, yeah, I see that. Okay, hold on. I need to fix something for my cat. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna put you up here on this pillow. That's nice. There you go. We set up this little crate so that Coconut can jump onto a crate and then onto a stool and then onto the standing desk. But the crate was being stabilized by some weights, and then I moved the weights. And then Coconut was standing on a wiggly crate. Nobody wants that. It's possible that, I mean, almost every seed is winnable. People have tried to find unwinnable seeds of Slay the Spire, and those efforts have, I would say, largely failed. There are seeds where you can't win as soon as you pick Boss Relic Swap on Silent, but even those seeds are winnable. If you want to limit the machine to not predicting, or to not manipulating seeds at all, and not being able to replay things, then I would say your win rate would probably drop dramatically. And short of a Herculean effort, I think you would struggle to find like a 30% win rate. I don't think we're taking any of these. Simmering Fury is probably closest. Simmering Fury is quite good. With Sneko Eye, Simmering Fury draws a full hand, which is kind of amazing. Puts us in Wrath mode for using our big chonky retain attacks. You know what? Maybe I should pick Simmering Fury. On the other hand, if we're holding these retain cards, then with Snecko Eye, we're already drawing a 9-card hand. That's a lot. No, perfect. If it's a bot with that's able to path the entire seed and play it perfectly, I think almost 100% of seeds are winnable. 90% is way low. I'm gonna skip Simmering Fury. He says, having already skipped Simmering Fury. Seems like Sands of Time is a clear upgrade. 6 extra damage on the biggest attack in the deck. Seems pretty obvious. Eruption never gets upgraded because we have Snecko Eye. Windmill Strike has kind of a bad upgrade, although it does get quite a bit more playable when you take the upgrade. 3 extra damage is nice. Extra scaling is nice too. Sanctity and Swivel don't upgrade in the way that we care about them. I don't really care about what the block number is. I care about what the extra effect is. So it's going to be Sands of Time. 52 damage when doubled. Yeah, there's no way we could come up with a no human is getting 90%. Not even Life Coach is getting 90%, and it'd be extremely difficult to sort of transcribe the optimal sort of thought pattern into a machine. That's really just not how AIs work. They almost all use a tree traversal. I think I'm going to sacrifice some health here. We cruised through that first elite. We might have extra health in this act. So I'll trade some for gold. Oh joy, potion belt. Okay. Sentries. Well, we can Eruption Sands of Time Strike. It's an awful lot of damage. This does 52. Eruption does 17, Strike does 12. So 52 presumably goes on the middle guy because we're not blocking this turn. And then we do 17 plus 12, that's 29. So we'd put one of the outside two into Firepot range. Yeah, I'm not forgetting Akabeko, that's why Eruption's doing 17. Seems pretty good. We're likely to draw Vigilance next turn. 1 out of 8 to miss it. Sure. Maybe we were supposed to Firepot this turn to avoid the dazes from this guy. It seems like we should probably try and save the Firepot, though. Actually, no. I'm not going to save the Firepot. He has 15 health, which is awkward, right? So the Windmill Strike won't kill him next turn. And we're going to want to re-enter Calm. So I don't think we're going to have the energy to play 2 strikes and enter Calm, most likely. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Firepot now. Probably saves 10 health. Small likelihood it doesn't. Oh, I was wrong. we would have double strike easy. In fact, do we have lethal here? Windmill Strike, double strike. This is 24 plus 14. It's 38. Close, but no. Do we try and take 0? We could Vigilance Defend. Try and perfect the fight. We get 12. We're always striking, so I'll do that first. We could get 12 damage by taking 2 health. Seems like a pretty good rate. But if we do that, we can't perfect the fight. And we've only got 3 dazes, so we're going to draw a pretty dense deck. Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna try and perfect the fight. I think we can. Give me Eruption back. No? Okay. Fair enough. Develop Swivel for next turn. I'll leave the Windmill Strike to proc. That'll do it. Molten Egg. Now we're talking. First card we're offered is a Weave. Probably don't want that. Devotion's kind of interesting. It's pretty early Devotion. We have a Sands of Time in the deck. Sands of Time always good with Divinity. Going to do Divinity mode and Blammo. Hit somebody for, I don't know, 100, 150, depending on your strength and vulnerability and stuff. What is your educational background? I know you messaged me on Discord saying you're philosophy minor. Yeah, so I went to University of Puget Sound and did computer science. I was thinking about that message I sent you. It was funny because I had a semester where I was taking the sort of equivalent formal logic classes in both philosophy and computer science at the same time. That was very brain-bending half of a year. Any reason not to take Devotion? I am coming up empty. Seems like a Divinity deck. Okay. Looks like we can take another upgrade. We are all out of potions, which is kind of sad with the potion belt. Seems like we should be trying to hold on to them, but we haven't been so far. My instinct is always that the lost value from seeing a potion reward and not taking it is so large, like you're just wasting a resource, that I tend to spend potions pretty aggressively. It also sort of like ties into the like snowball dynamics of the game, where like you want to spend your resources as quickly as possible, as long as you're getting reasonable value out of them, because that makes you get further ahead of the curve of where the game expects you to be. And the further ahead you are, the more you can leverage your position to, like, for example, you could like take something that is kind of a liability, but will pay off later. So yeah, you want to be ahead of the curve, and to do that, you can spend your potions as soon as you get them. What is your recent reason for thinking why you haven't achieved as high a win rate as someone like Life Coach? I don't know. Life Coach is way more intense about both streaming and like game playing than I am. I'm competitive, but like nowhere near as much as Life Coach is. Life Coach is like a poker pro turned into Hearthstone pro turned into streamer. So he's like got a lot of background in playing games that I don't have. I mean, not everyone has to be like a rare talent. I'm good at playing games. I like playing games, but playing games perfectly is not my forte, and I don't think it ever will be. I think we're probably taking a Devotion upgrade. The other upgrades in the deck just aren't that good. Windmill Strike's on the list of things that want to get upgraded, but then after that it's like Vigilance, Swivel, and Sanctity each get like slightly more block. Why doesn't Swivel get 12 block? I don't understand. This card is already bad. Why not give it like a slightly better upgrade? Because Vigilance also blocks for 8, and Gate goes to 12. Why would Swivel go from 8 to 11? Sure. Can we end this fight this turn? We can Vigilance, Windmill Strike, Sands of Time. Or just Vigilance, Sands of Time, I suppose. Problem with Vigilance, Sands of Time is we can't block for enough. Because he would be hit for 9. We'd only be blocking for 8. Maybe you should have taken a Vigilance upgrade at that fire. It was probably the next upgrade after Windmill Strike. Would have been able to block out here. Let's see. Actually, do we have lethal? No. 15 plus 6. So we'd have 21 on one target and 26 on the other. Which kills neither. Yeah, I think it's just like Vigilance, Devotion, Sands of Time. Okay. Sanctity draws these 2 cards. We could just like Swivel Sanctity, hold the Swivel for next turn, proc Windmill Strike again. Blocks out, helps draw back to Eruption. Seems like it should set up lethal. Yeah, like a million different ways. Okay. Yeah, Wrist, you're totally correct. I was so excited because we swapped into Snecko Eye, and then when I saw the Swivel, I was like, hell yeah! Normally Swivel is like super bad, but on Snecko Eye, it is super good. Because Swivel itself gets decosted on average, and it decosts like some expensive attack. I was when I picked Swivel, I was worried about this Windmill Strike getting stuck in hand for 3 energy. So having a Swivel to like be the release valve on that was great. Is that the new PogChamp for the day? I don't recognize that person. Who is that? We have Molten Egg now, so all our attacks are going to be upgraded. We almost picked a Simmering Fury, which would make the Empty Fist better. Do you enjoy talking about game development or more of a solo thing for you? I definitely enjoy talking about it. That's part of the reason I'm here. I don't know. Empty Fist is such a... It seems so good. Like, 1 energy for 14 is busted, although the energy doesn't matter right now, so it's 14 damage, which definitely takes some of the luster off of it. But then, like, by the end of the game, Empty Fist always ends up being a liability, like 100% of the time. Empty Fist is like, oh, I don't want to exit my Wrath mode, or I also have Inner Peace or something, and you're like, ah, God. Empty Fist, I've been really souring on recently. It's a strong Act 1 card, but we don't really need a strong Act 1 card, so I'm skipping it here. How about that Sash Whip Plus? Is that worth a spot? It says plus on it. It's going to be difficult to make a Wave of the Hand work in this deck, which is like my preferred source of weak. Wave of the Hand is always difficult in Snecko Eye decks, because the Wave of the Hand can cost 2, and that's just too much. Sash Whip does 10 damage. Could use a little bit more damage, I suppose. Weak is extremely good against Guardian. Get that rounding on his Whirlwind attack. Move him from 20 to 12 damage. I'm on board. It's also just like good against Slavers and stuff. Book of Stabbing, Time Lord. Pretty much everybody. The Heart. Alright, fine. Skipping a fire there. Trying to get an extra elite. I think that's the right thing to do, but it's hard to be 100% confident. Let's go ahead and Vigilance Sanctity, see what the new cards are. Good thing we drew Sands of Time. That'll decost for us. I think this is going to be like Devotion Double Strike, Hold the Windmill. Have I studied philosophy outside of college? No, not really. Might have read an article. It's about as much as I can say I've done. Sure. I don't think we're really going into Divinity in this fight, but, you know, might as well get it out of the deck. Eruption Sands of Time. Is it lethal? Could it be? Follow-up and Just Lucky are bad because they cost 0, and Sneko Eye makes them cost something else. A lot of 0-cost cards have a lot of their value tied up in costing 0. And so they tend to get ruined disproportionately by Sneko Eye. It's not like... So Sneko Eye is bad for cards that cost 1, right? Because it makes them cost an additional 0.5 on average, but it's much worse for cards that cost 0. Because cards that cost 0, they expect you to be, like, drawing 20 cards a turn and playing 20 cards a turn, right? And, like, you're really exploiting that 0 cost. But we can't do that. So it's Bowling Dash or Skip. And I don't see any particular reason to pick Bowling Dash. It's kind of fighting for a spot with Sands of Time. Sands of Time's already in the deck. Lagavulin. As much as I would love to play a turn 1 Devotion, we don't have one. So maybe like Vigilant Swivel. See what's up next turn. I didn't even draw either of my retain cards. Lame. Well, now we drew the retain cards. Sanctity draws these 2 cards, 2 of these cards. These cards are terrible, so I think we want to draw these cards and not proc this turn. So we'll just like Sanctity Devotion, chill on these. Oh, these, crap. This is my least favorite interaction. So like, Swivel and Sneko Eye are great together, right? But like, something that happens is you draw a hand, and you don't know how much the attacks in the hand cost, because they cost 0, right? But 0 is shrouding their true cost. So we don't know how much Windmill Strike and Sands of Time's cost permanently. Sands of Time will still proc, so if Sands of Time's natural cost is 3, it'll reduce its natural cost down to 2, but it'll still have the shrouded cost, so we won't be able to see any of that. All right. So it's hard to tell what our attacks cost because we've played Swivel. I was hoping for an Eruption there. I guess we could theoretically still find one. Defend Sanctity. Draws 2. Leaves us with 2 energy, though. We'd probably only get to play 2 attacks. Alright, let's go for it. We might even just not wake up this turn. Okay, I'll wake up if there's Eruption here. Is that true? I don't really want to take 40 next turn. But this might even be lethal. We do a pretty tremendous amount of damage. 17 plus, this is going to be 12? Wait, how can it be 12? 7 plus 8 is 15. Oh, it's probably 11? Yeah, it's 11 plus the 8. Yeah, okay. So this is 11, so 22. 17 plus 22 is 39, plus this is going to be 52. That was 39. 39 plus 52 is 91. Yeah, so we're probably looking for lethal next turn. We'll see what the costs are. Okay, costs are really low. That's good. So we get to play all the attacks. And get lethal now. Cool. Watcher versus Lagavulin. Wreath of Flame with Akabeko lets us do some bonkers stuff. Get a Ragnarok, maybe. We don't currently have anything that really pays that off, though. Fasting seems terrible. 3 energy Sneko Eye deck is already tough to manage. Fasting does have a little bit of extra value with Sneko Eye, because if we do... Fasting already is really good with Orange Pellets. And if we do fasting orange pellets, we also get to purge confusion, which is usually a good thing, but sometimes a bad thing. It kind of depends on how built around Snecko you are. Do you think the rate of play in Slay the Spire is relatively correlated as a bell curve in relation to viewership, in your opinion? No, I don't think it is. I think that it matters probably a little bit. So there's probably like 4 or 5 important like factors to consider if you wanted to like come up with a formula that predicts how many Twitch viewers somebody would have. Hey, Sir Animal, do you have a streak going on? I do. I have a lost streak. We have lost 1 game in a row. If you're going to come up with the 4 or 5 factors, number 1 factor is like how much total time have you streamed on Twitch. Like it or not, Twitch is like a relationship building platform. You build these sort of like weird parasympathetic relationships with like a bunch of people, or is that the right word? And there's some word for that, but I don't really care what it is. And the more time you stream, the more people you're gonna have a relationship with, the more people like follow you when you're on. So that's like factor number 1. Factor number 2 is just like stream quality. Which Slay the Spire player has the biggest audience? Jorbs. Let's see. Yeah, I think it might actually be Life Coach though. I think Life Coach might have just brought a bigger audience than Jorbs has built playing Slay the Spire. So number 1 is time streamed. Number 2 is stream quality. So like there's a bunch of people who like don't have a camera or like aren't talking during their stream. So there's some sort of obvious stuff that like no amount of time streaming will fix. And there's also like some subjective qualities wrapped up there, right? Like how interesting is the person to watch. So those are like the top 2. A third one would be like, let's see, there are more. I guess like if I was gonna do just 3, I would say time streamed, quality of stream, and then how good you are at Slay the Spire is like a distant third to those. But I've tied up a lot of things in whatchamacallit, in the stream quality. Life Coach usually has around 1K viewers today, so Jorbs has 4K. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I don't really have strong opinions on how large different people's audiences are. I'm sure that there are real answers to these questions that we could find in 30 seconds of Googling, so. I'm not taking any of these. This is fun for memes, but I'm not doing memes. I'm trying to win. Okay, looks like we're taking an upgrade. 45 health seems like plenty. Yeah, streaming a first-person shooter game seems incredibly difficult. The Denger, what kind of cat is Coconut? The kind of cat who's currently cleaning herself. Licky, licky, licky. My name is Coconut. All I do is licky. Oh, she stopped. She heard me talking about her. Now she's back to licking. Okay. She's an English house cat. Oh, right. What card are we upgrading? We didn't upgrade Vigilance at the previous floor, and we experienced some regret based on that. I would say it's a small amount of regret, but meaningful. It's probably going to be Windmill Strike. If we're going to have a Windmill Strike in the deck, might as well be a Windmill Strike Plus. The counter argument to Windmill Strike upgrade is maybe we want to remove Windmill Strike from the deck later. And it'll feel really silly if I upgrade it and then remove it. But that's basically only happening if we find Pandora's Box and swap all these cards out, because there's a lot of strikes in front of us. Yeah, I also think Coconut's pretty. Good job, Coconut. People like you. Yeah, Sanctity gets a really weak upgrade. I was complaining about Swivel's upgrade earlier. Why would this go from 8 to 11 when Vigilance goes from 8 to 12? Vigilance is like clearly a better card than Swivel to begin with. Why does Swivel get the shaft on the upgrade? Swivel's like kind of a garbage card. Where can I find chat rules? Wondering what's out of bounds to talk about with you. I don't really have... I definitely have like scolded people for going out of bounds in chat, but I've hesitated about making chat rules because I don't know. Yeah, number one, don't be a bot. It's a good start. I think the main thing that I've don't be a douche. That's a good one. The main thing that I've come into conflict with people about in the past is like excessive negativity. So like if you're like talking about a card that you would have picked, and then later you're like, we could have won if we just picked this card. Like that's just rude. Ooh, name can't end with a number. I don't know. That puts Gadaskar in some danger here. Gadaskar is the only current chatter who has numbers at the end. Oh no, my father! Oh god, we've made a huge mistake. Roll it back. Roll it back. All that being said, let's take the Windmill Strike upgrade. I think we care about damage. Devotion on 1 means we probably actually do go into Divinity in this fight. I guess it's fighting with Swivel. Strike Sash Whip is almost certainly happening. And then Swivel would set up for next turn. Devotion sets up for 4 turns from now. Is this fight even going to last 4 turns? I think we care more about setting up for next turn than setting up for 4 turns from now. So we're going to skip Devotion. Set up a Swivel. We're not going to strike. We're going to save that Swivel for a better target. I can't tell how much any of these cost. But if I Eruption, I guess I'll get to see what the costs are. Okay. Either Windmill Strike or Sands of Time would split. I think I might Windmill Strike here. I don't really want to hold a 3-cost Windmill Strike in my hand. No, I'm going to Sands of Time. If I Sands of Time, I get to play Vigilance, and I want to be in Calm next turn. Plus, it lets me end with a skill for Sanctity. I know, yeah, Swivel is so awkward with Snecko. It's like so good, but also it hides information. Sneaky, secret information. Yeah, I guess if we hold Windmill Strike, it gets more damage. So eventually we'll like swivel it out. Doesn't matter that it costs 3. And we kind of want to redraw Sands of Time because it's most of the damage in the deck, so might as well play it before we shuffle. We could just swivel it right now. Let's draw some cards. Play the free defend. We could Eruption Sands of Time again. That's a legitimate 0 cost too. It's not a fakey. We could Eruption Sands of Time, Swivel Windmill Strike this turn. Just absolutely annihilate Guardian while he's in damage return mode. We're guaranteed to draw Vigilance next turn. We take some damage, but we also do a ton of damage. We only end up taking 3 health loss. We were going to play Vigilance no matter what next turn anyway. It's not bad. We get to play Sands Time again before we shuffle. Yeah, I think I'm into it. He's at 83. Oh, we take 13. I said 3. I was off. Vigilance costs 3. Punished. Right. No strike. I don't need that. Do we get lethal? We have Eruption Sands of Time. Eruption, Sands of Time, Swivel, Windmill Strike, or just Windmill Strike. It's definitely enough to split, which is what we need to actually do this turn. And it is enough to kill. Great. Easy. Blasphemy, Wish, and Omniscience. While Omniscience is obviously super busted with Snake Eye, as is Wish, both cards defined by their high energy cost, particularly Omniscience. So, having their cost get randomized is pretty silly. Why did you not play the free strike cards earlier? They weren't actually free. They had their real cost masked by Swivel, and I want to get the Swivel on a good target. What do you Omniscience? I mean, probably Sands of Time. We just like boop somebody for 100, right? Eruption, Omniscience, Sands of Time. That's good enough to get you through most of Act 2. It can be some difficulties with that, obviously. You don't want to do that if you're against Gremlin Leader and there's Gremlins up, because then you waste all the damage in your deck for doing 100 damage to 2 Gremlins. But like against Slavers, that kills 2 Slavers a lot of the time. And you can do it on turn 1. Ooh, thanks for the subscription, Swing Pop. Appreciate the support. Thanks for loafing around. I don't think I've seen you in chat too much before. But thanks for making a splash. Is it possible to subscribe to someone without following them? I don't remember seeing your follow message. Maybe you have been following for a while. What do I know? Tell me your story, Swing Pop. What's the deal? Hot take, Flechettes is better than Dagger Spray in my poison deck. Fight you. Wow. Really, really aggressive take here from Mythmaker Oxymore, or Mythmake Roxymore. It's unclear to which word the R is attached. I actually have to look up Flechettes. I don't know that one off the top of my head. Ah, yes. The damage per skill in your hand. It is possible to sub without follow. Sir Artemal knows the thing. Man, Sir Artemal is just getting into all the chat fights. Every time there's a fight in chat, Sir Artemal is just making it happen. It's Mythmaker Oxymore. Thank you for clarifying. You oxymoron. It is true that it's they do different things. In a poison deck. Kind of depends on what you mean by poison deck. Like, I would always say that Flechettes is more prescriptive about what a specific deck is than poison deck is, right? Because Flechettes, like, Flechettes is only good if, like, it's the only attack in the deck and you have, like, a way to draw a lot of cards, right? Poison decks are reliant on skill cards. Yeah, so, like, in general, a poison deck will have, like, I don't know, 70% skills or something, right? You'll have your burst and catalyst and leg sweep and poison, crippling cloud, whatever. You'll have a bunch of poison stuff, bouncing flask, noxious fumes, whatever. But, like, a Flechette's deck needs to have, like, 90% skills. You need to be, like, almost all skills. You need to, like, have, like, removed all of your attacks, and you need to have like acrobatics and reflex and stuff to like draw you that full hand. And obviously, like, you don't need to have the dream to make the card work at all, right? Like, it doesn't take much for Flechettes to be better than a strike, but yeah, Flechettes is an interesting card because it's only good in decks that don't want attacks, and it is an attack, so it's really awkward. I'm not a big fan of Flechettes in general. I think it's hard to make it work. It has much the same problem as Barrage, where, like, Barrage wants you to strength scale your orb slots, fill those orb slots, and then it's an attack, right? And attacks don't strength scale you, and they don't give you orb slots. So you have to accomplish like so many different things for Barrage to be good. But if you do, the payoff is 10 times your strength. That's true. With Pyramid, Flechettes is quite a bit better. Or lesson learned, not lesson learned. Well laid plans. I mean, by the time you're making a Flechette's work, right? Gremlin Knob is well in the rearview mirror. I'm not sure exactly what the dream is with Omniscience, but I think we're gonna find out here. Ooh, maybe it's Devotion. That'd be kind of sick. Oh, gosh, there's no energy relic here. That's kind of a nightmare. I was really hoping for energy. Well. It's been quite a while since we've done a spreadsheet. I kind of wonder what the average cost of a Watcher card is. I think I'm going to find out. I think we're going to do a spreadsheet. It's been an age. At the beginning of this stream, in like, whatever, like February 2020, I did like a spreadsheet like every day to like try and figure out something about Slay the Spire. And then I realized making spreadsheets, not very good TV. But I'm going to do it here. Alright, so we can make a new Google Sheet. I'm going to put that over there, and pull up the wiki on another tab. Get the Watcher cards, switch the OBS view. We're going to build a spreadsheet. Okay. So we're going to ignore the starter cards. Presumably these are sorted by rarity. Alright, so we're going to count 1 cost, 2 cost, 3 cost, and 4 cost cards. I'm going to see how many of each there are. Actually, I'm going to do these slightly different. Okay, so Bowling Bash is a 1... Oh, there needs to be a 0 cost column as well. Alright. Consecrate's a 0. Crescendo is a 1 that turns into a 0, awkwardly. Crush Joint's a 1. Cut Through Fate's a 1. Empty Pot is a 1. Empty Fist is a 1. Evaluate's a 1. Flurry of Blows is a 0. Flying Sleeves is a 1. Follow-Up is a 1 technically. Halt is a 0. Just Lucky's a 0. Pressure Points is a 1. Prostrate's a 0. Protect is a 2. Sash Whip's a 1. Third Eye's a 1. Tranquility's a 1. Battle Hymn, Carve Reality is a 1. Collect I'm not going to make a sell for, because it's just whatever the average is. Conclude's a 1. Deceive Reality, Empty Mind. Fasting is a 2. Fear Novel's a 1. Foreign Influence is a 0. Foresight, Indignation, and Inner Peace are all 1s. Like Water, Meditate, Mental Fortress, and Nirvana are all 1s. Perseverance, Prey are all 1s. Reach Heaven's a 2. Through Violence is a 0. I won't make a sell for Through Violence, but Rushdown, Sanctity, Sands of Time, it's a 4. Signature Move's a 2. Simmering Fury, Study, Swivel, do I count Swivel as a 1? I'm going to count Swivel as a 2. Talk to the Hand's a 1. Tantrum's a 1. Wallop's a 2. Wave of the Hand's 1. Weave is 0. Wheel Kick's 2. Windmill Strike, Worship are 2s. Wreath of Flame, Alpha. Alpha you could justify just about any cost. Blasphemy, Brilliance. Conjure Blade I'm not going to make a sell for because it's an X cost. Same with Deus Ex. Day of Form is a 3. Devotion's a 1. Establishment, Judgment, Lesson Learned, Master Reality, Omniscience, Scrawl, Spirit Shield, and Vault. There we go. Alright. Oh wait, Wish. Wish is also a card. Cool. All right, we've recorded the costs of all the cards. This one we made a 5, but it's a 4. That was Omniscience. Cool. All right, so the ones is going to be the sum of A 2 through A. Oops, gotta put a... No! Damn it. Here we go. Okay. I gotta put an equal sign up front if you want to do the thing. What just happened? Alright, and then this is gonna be B2 through B. And this is gonna be C2 through C. And this is... I should have just made these columns horizontally adjacent to each other, but D2 through D. Okay. Oh, there's 4 categories. Or 5 categories, rather. So we need an E1 as well. E2 through E. Great. All right. The total is going to be equals the sum of G2 through G5, G6. So there's 70 cards, apparently. And then equals this divided by this, and I can put a little dollar sign there so that when I copy it, it does the right thing. And those are all those numbers. Okay, so those are the contributions to the average. And then when we total those contributions and make it format correctly... Wait, what? Why are they... Why did they add up to 1? Did they really add up to 1? The average cost of a watch card is exactly 1. That is absurdly unlikely. If we just like add 1 to a 2-cost card, does it go up slightly? It does not, so our numbers are wrong. Will you show me more digits? What's going on here? Why? Show me more. Alright, somebody help me out. Why is this exactly 1? Oh. Duh. Because I'm adding a bunch of numbers together, dividing them by the total number of numbers, and then just adding them together again. Of course it's 1. It's always going to be 1. Okay. Alright, because I'm an idiot is the reason. Okay, so this is times 1. This one's times 2, because these are the 2-cost cards. And these ones are times 3, because they're the 3-cost cards. I must have gotten this one wrong. These ones are times 0. This one's times 1. This one's times 2. I'm going to go back to chat, and it's going to be all people yelling at me for making an obvious mistake. And I love it. This is times 4. Okay, so the average cost of a watch card is 1.3. Cool. Oh, wow. Let's see, what are people talking about? Talking about the average cost of a card, I'm curious how you run that. I remember doing a similar thing with Ironclad cards and getting confused about how to treat things like Offering, Berserk, Bloodletting, or Sentinel. Yeah, I think for like Bloodletting, I would cost it as like a negative number, and same with Offering. Berserk, you can just count to 0. But yeah, there are some definite difficulties. You know, a lot of those we just sort of skip over. I'm not really interested in getting into like the exact details. I'm kind of just wondering about like the average cost. Cool. Only Deep Slate told me I was summing the ratios, but yes. Okay, so the average cost is 1.3. So this increases the cost of the deck slightly, which is nice. I mean, the 1.3 is close to 1.5, right? So it's not really... Yeah, exactly. Like, Study should be slightly not 2. I counted it as a 2 because it's a 2-cost card. My dividing line was like, once things have to generate a card and that card gets drawn, the subsequently generated card probably matters less than the original cost of card for figuring out the whole cost of the deck. So I only counted the original cost of the original card, but that's subjective. Okay, so would we rather have Pandora's Box, which is great, but limits our energy, or Black Star, which is also great, but also limits our energy? I don't know. I feel like we're pretty good at Act 2 elites. Omniscient Sands of Time is an Act 2 elite superstar mega combo. But I think Pandora's definitely has a higher ceiling, right? Alright, let's do Pandora's. Let's see what we get. Devaform, Establishment, Ragnarok Plus. Holy cow. Ragnarok Plus with Akabeko. We got a Wallop Plus too. This is an outstanding Pandora's. Oh, I totally forgot that I had a Molten Egg. Yeah, this was a turn-off brain pick Pandora's situation. Anytime you have an egg, eggs make Pandora's super good because all your attacks would be upgraded. We got 3 upgrades out of that. Outstanding. No block cards, but I'm not crying. We got an Establishment, which is super good in the deck. Wallop is kind of a block card, and just like Ragnar's Blasphemy is just going to wipe Act 2. This is a super good outcome. Even the Prostrate's good. We have a Devotion. We got Devaform Conjure Blade for max memes. Dope. Okay. Champ. That's true. Prostrate is a block card, technically. We already did our green key, so we can't fight a Mega Elite. Max is going to be 3 elites. 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. 2 ways to get it. Which unusually share no elites. Usually if there's multiple ways to get 3 elites, most of them are in common. Is there a 4? I don't see it. You're not talking about like wing boots or anything, are you? Oh, how many block cards do you have? Sorry, I thought 4 was in reference to the... so we got Vigilance, Swivel, Sanctity, Prostrate, and Wallop, so 5. If you count Prostrate. Also, if you count Wallop. Alright, so which of these 3 elite paths do I want to do, if I want to do a 3 elite path? How good are Act 2 question marks? Yeah, that's a great point. Getting a turn 1 Omniscience Ragnarok Plus with Akabeko is chef's kiss. That is a lot of damage. Can you imagine Blasphemy, Omniscience, Ragnarok on turn 1? Oh, that is a huge amount of damage. How much is that? It's like 14 times 3 times 6? Holy crap. 14 times 3 times 6 is 252, and then it's an additional 18 times 6. I guess I'll do 14 times 3 plus 18 times 6. 360 damage. I don't think there's any Act 2 fight at all, including the bosses, that survives that. I think Blasphemy, Omniscience, Ragnarok would win, if we were guaranteed it on turn 1, would win the entire act. Does Champ have 360? He does, actually. Doesn't he have like 400 health? So it doesn't quite work against Champ, but everybody else. The best discarding cards are Tools of the Trade, Storm of Steel, Calculated Gamble. Grabbing Reflex or Tactician are just bad draws without reliable discards, so it's pointless to pick them. unless you already have cards that can play into them. I'd rather have Finisher and or Choke in a Shiv discard deck than Flechettes, but Flechettes has an undeniable place in a Poison build. I don't know. I feel like Poison decks rarely have more than 5 cards in their hand, is the problem. Like, I guess if you well-laid plans, you'll like hold your Catalyst and you'll have 6 or 7 cards in your hand. But like Flechettes just doesn't shine in that situation. And like Flechettes is a scaling damage solution. And if you're Poison, you don't need scaling damage solutions. You need front-loaded damage. Like your physical damage in a Poison deck should be like Backstab and like Dagger Spray rather than Flechettes. I'm not buying it. Also, I feel like your arguments against Reflex and Tactician are sort of passé. That would have been an appropriate criticism of Reflex Tactician like a year ago, or like 3 months ago. But there've been buffs to them since then. So Reflex is like an absolutely absurd pick, even if you don't have consistent discard. Reflex is just a busted card now. Pretty much always good. Alright, so we pretty much want to end up here either way, right? And then we'll... Actually, this position is kind of scary, because if we're here, we're forced into at least 2 elites. This path is 3 elites, all forced. And this path is at least these 2. And then we can skip that one. This path has 2 extra fires, so we should be fine. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder, Sir Artemal. I presume that Sir Artemal and I think like pretty much exactly the same way about Slay the Spire, because we've been, like, I've been streaming and Sir Artemal has been in chat pointing things out for like basically a year. So if we don't have the same opinion, it would have come up like several times. Just use Corpse Explosion. Yeah, just pick that rare that you always find. Just use the rare. Okay. We can't play Eruption Rag, which is sad. Let's start with Ragnarok, though, because we have Akabeko. Okay. Screw that guy. And then also screw this guy. Alright. Doesn't seem fair. I'm not sure when we got so strong, but that's way too strong. You're not supposed to be that strong this early. Those thieves had no chance. That's like normally a fairly challenging fight. I would expect to lose like 10 health in that fight. Starting Act 2. Starting Act 2 is rough. I mean, what's the point of Vigilance Eruption? That doesn't... Oh, you mean to double the damage first? I would rather take the Akabeko than double damage, because Akabeko is 8, whereas double damage would be 6 extra damage. I presume that's more, but maybe I'm wrong. Fear no evil? Extra Wrath exit. Oh, I see. I see what you mean. Yeah, okay. Good point. There was a way to do the thing I said there's no way to do. You are correct. I just don't see the argument for taking Fear No Evil. It's like a good card. Let's see. Okay, maybe the argument is that we are a Rushdown deck. Rushdown Snecko is like, suspicion. We have 1, 2, 3. I'm going to count this as a second one, 4, because it exhausts another card. 5, 6, 7, 8 cards that exhaust, although we can't exhaust Blasphemy without ending the fight. That does get us down to a 10-card deck, technically. We can't do Rushdown loops because we have Snecko Eye, so our costs will get randomized, but still. If we got, like, Violet Lotus, then on average, Vigilance Eruption would be a loop, right? Alright, see you later, Sir Artemal. Because sometimes it's energy negative, sometimes it's energy positive. Maybe with Deva form we can ride that. Thanks, Sir Edimal. See you later. I don't know. We don't need Fear No Evil for that, right? Because we have Vigilance Eruption that already does it. Okay, then we skip. Alrighty then. Well, there's no more Strikes and Defends in the deck. Pandora's Box beat Ancient Writing to it. So I guess we're going to remove a card. Conjure Blade? Cut Through Fate? Prostrate? What's the weakest card in this deck? Maybe Windmill Strike? Maybe your time has finally come. Parting Argument, Flechettes is more effective versus Time Eater than Reflex. Oh, sure. Yeah, you do not want to be playing Reflex against Time Eater. That's definitely a good point. Yeah, every like big Shiv deck Silent does need a plan against Time Eater, and it can't be more Shivs, because that does not work. Or more like discard stuff. So I agree with you there. But is Flechettes really better than Catalyst against Time Eater? I would much rather have my scaling damage be Catalyst than Flechettes. Gosh, this is kind of a hard... You can't skip this thing. They're both good, so you don't generally want to, but like, I have to remove a card. I guess I could take Upgrade All Strikes and Defense that just does nothing. But that seems like such a waste. Is it Sash Whip? Okay, what are the expendable cards? Assuming we're going to go for a sort of sometimes probabilistic rushdown loop with Eruption Vigilance. The expendable cards are Swivel, Windmill Strike, Sands of Time. I'm not going to count Sanctity as expendable because it draws 2 cards, helps us get to the full hand. Sash Whip, Prostrate, Cut Through Fate, and Wallop, and Ragnarok. That's a lot of cards. Maybe it is Prostrate. Oh, yeah, if you're talking about Flechettes as an early game card, then, like, sure. I mean, early game, you're kind of just looking for any damage you can get. I definitely don't think Flechettes is great early game. But it's certainly okay. But early game, you're not a poison deck, right? Early game, you're just a silent deck. You're still trying to figure out what you are. So I wouldn't really say you're a poison deck early game. Like, if you pick a deadly poison, you're not suddenly a poison deck. You're just a silent deck that has a deadly poison in it. Isn't Rushdown Loop pretty unrealistic with randomized costs? Actually, no. So we have a Deva form, so we should be able to have excess energy. So assuming we start the turn with, like, 10 energy, the average cost of Eruption Vigilance is 3. Oh, wait. Yeah, no. What am I talking about? I was thinking... I was doing the math as though I had Violet Lotus, but I don't have Violet Lotus. If I had Violet Lotus, then the average cost of this would be 3, and then the average energy we would get back would also be 3. But I do not have Violet Lotus, so... Good. Thanks for pointing that out, yes. We would need to depend on these costing either 1 or 0 on average, which they don't. They cost 1.5 on average. Thanks for looking out the name I picked. I was in the middle of doing my math wrong. Okay, so we're not going for Rushdown Loops. We still get to remove a card. So, who's going to be? We could remove Eruption. Seems like we mostly just want to enter Divinity. I don't want to remove the Windmill Strike, because we have Establishment. So Windmill Strike and Sands of Time are both off limits. Swivel's too good in a Snecko Eye deck to remove. So I think the removables are like Sash Whip, Eruption, Prostrate, and Cut Through Fate. That's true. Conjure Blade is sort of expendable. I don't know though. Devaform Conjure Blade is a thing. Like that's kind of our scaling right now. Like we win fights early with like Omniscience, Ragnarok, or like Blasphemy, Sands of Time. So we have lots of ways of like blowing people up early. But then against Champ, I do think we're going to want to like Devaform and then Conjure Blade later. And then maybe like Omniscience, the Expunger for the kill. I don't hate removing Contrablade, though. It's a pretty bad card. You vote Sash Whip. Seems reasonable. I think I like removing Cut Through Fate or Prostrate. I think those are my favorite. I never am going to play a 3-cost Prostrate, right? It's really hard to make that good. Yeah, Prostrate does feel bad. You should have at least one Catalyst Plus in a Poison deck, but since Poison decks rely on skills, and the Time Eater cures himself and restores HP to 1/2, Flechettes, an early game card is one of the few attacks you'd want to keep going into the late game, aside from Bane and Poison Stab. I mean, you can... So the game with Time Eater is you set it up so that after you Catalyst, you're doing more than a quarter of his life in terms of damage. So then he's like at slightly above half health. You set him up so that he dies in 2 turns to poison. So you don't actually let him heal. I'm not saying Flechettes isn't good in that fight. It can be good, but I think you're going to want Catalyst to kill Time Eater. There is a Devotion, yeah. So I do kind of like Prostrate. Yeah, as I said before, if you're picking like a floor 1 Flechettes, that's totally reasonable. Flechettes is fine early. It's not great against Lagavulin, but like it's plenty good when you're like desperate to take any damage. But I'm not buying the argument that it's like a viable late game card. Sure, but if Prostrate would get us into Divinity, we would already go into Divinity next turn, because we already have Devotion down. I mean, it's likely that we're going to want, like, to go into Divinity every turn, right? This deck wants, like, a Worship, right? But if we can remove the Prostrate and then pick a Worship, we're, like, much happier than with Prostrate and Worship, I think. Worship is super good in this deck. Establishment, Worship, good combo. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, you've made some reasonable points, right? Like, Flechettes is totally a reasonable card. It's difficult to scale. It has a huge payoff, though. It's one of the highest strength scaling cards in the game. It's Flechettes and Barrage are like the most strength scaling, and Conjure Blade. Yeah, that's a tough one. I guess it's Cut Through Fate. Cut Through Fate's the only card in the deck that doesn't have, like, a dream, right? Sash Whip, like, weakens the heart and makes us survive turn 2 in the heart fight. Prostrate puts us into Divinity. Establishment and, like, the retain cards are super good. Devaform Conjure Blade is our scaling. Ragnarok kills people on turn 1 with Akabeka. Wallop is our block. Blasphemy blows people up. Eruption Vigilance are our stance-changing stuff. Devotion puts us in Divinity. Sanctity draws us a full hand. The only card that's missing from that list is Cut Through Fate. So I'm going to remove Cut Through Fate. Okay. Seems like the plan was to go up the middle here. Is that still the plan? Yes. Conjure Blade for Bonfire Spirits. There you go. Now you're thinking. Is Ragnarok lethal? We can swivel Ragnarok, too. If we swivel Ragnarok, we can wallop after that. That's hilarious. Hot take number 2. Dualcast Plus is more important for a Frost deck than Blizzard Plus. Boy, you're not going to have to convince me hard on that one. Blizzard Plus is one of the worst cards in the game. So we end up doing 14 times 5 damage to 73, or 14 times 6 damage to whatever 73 plus 14 is. 14 times 5 is 70, so he would be at 3, so he is dead. Wallop. We could add another Cut Through Fate to the deck. But wait, we just removed a Cut Through Fate. Vegetablebread, what are you thinking? Okay. We could go to a shop. We've got 386. That seems like enough money. We're definitely not going to a shop for the rest of the act. I guess we could theoretically end up at this one, but we'd probably just rather go to the fire. So let's go shopping. Shopping! There's the Rushdown. Could draw some cards. We can't do loops unless we find Violet Lotus, so don't need to worry about that. Prismatic Shard plus Molten Egg. What's the dream? Like Pummel? Pummel plus is pretty dope. Yeah, exactly. I'm with Deep Sleep. Deep Sleep knows what's up. By the time Blizzard Plus is good, you've already won. Just do anything. Demon Form. That's an interesting idea. You get Omniscience of Demon Form on turn 1. Get Ragnarok to hit for 1,000. Being able to Omniscience different colored cards is very strange. Like, what if we Omniscience a creative AI? Like, what even happens? How about you say Blizzard is worst card to my face? Alright, Ceratimo, here you go. Blizzard is one of the worst cards in the game. I didn't say the worst card. I'm not sure what I think the worst card is, but Blizzard is certainly in the conversation. We could do another card remove. The last card remove was like pulling teeth. There is not a lot of cards we want to remove. So it seems wrong to pay money to do it. Blizzard is long-term AoE scaling damage, and it depends on what sort of frost generation you have. Whether cracked core or lots of cold snap. Yeah, sure. But like, yeah, I don't know. You probably have focus, so like lightning orbs are the most obvious ways of killing. Probably playing a bunch of powers, storm. It's true. It's a fun card. I enjoy playing it. Is it ever collect? Collect is kind of funky here. We've got a Deva form. Conjure Blade. We kind of want Chemex. Conjure Blade's good with Chemex, right? It's too bad there aren't any like good attacks here. I would love another Ragnarok. I mean, can you use Blizzard to finish off enemies? Absolutely. The problem with Blizzard is it's useless on turns 1 through 6, right? It just takes so long to scale. You can just, once you have that many frost orbs, you can do anything, right? And like, you know, if you can do anything, you might as well do Blizzard. It's fun. There's a fruit juice here. We could buy a fruit juice. Seems like an expensive way to gain 5 health. These relics are uniquely bad. These are like some high-class bad relics. Letter Opener does basically nothing at this phase of the game. Same with Mercury Hourglass. Prismatic Shard probably makes us worse. It's like, whew. It's like, the only worst relics are like Darkstone Periapt and like Juzu Bracelet. The Boot. Those are the only missing ones here. There's like a starter set for terrible relics. We don't want any of the cards. Maybe Rushdown? Okay, the name I picked. If you're going to vote remove card, you have to pick a card you want to remove. Why is the Boot bad? I never said the Boot was bad. If the Boot's in a shop, I'm obligated to buy it because of that one time I died to Nemesis. Yeah, could remove Prostrate. It's going to be like Prostrate or Sash Whip. Eruption. I did list the boot among the worst relics. You are correct. But I have a long running meme where if the boot is in a shop, I'm obligated to buy it unless I choose not to. I literally said the unless I choose not to, just in case somebody clips it and uses it against me in the future. I was like, I can't say that without qualification. That's gonna be a problem. It's true, Sash Whip does block for more than Prostrate usually. I wish there was like a wallop here. Why can't I have a wallop? I don't see why you have... It doesn't do anything on turn 1 through 6, because sure, there are cards that are front-loaded and cards that are not. You obviously don't want to have like 5 Blizzards in a deck. But then you wouldn't like to have 5 Devaforms. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah, it's a scaling card. It does scale, technically. It scales very slowly. But it's a way to turn your scaling block into scaling damage. It works. I would say Blizzard is just too slow to be practical. I'm not saying that, like, no cards that aren't useful at the beginning of a fight are useful. I'm saying that Blizzard in particular is bad. Would we take an extra Devaform in this deck? I think we would play 2 Devaforms in this deck. There's a Conjure Blade in this deck. I'm really having trouble choosing here. I guess I just take a card remove and leave. Maybe I buy these potions. Blessing of the Forge is pretty good. We have Snecko Eye, so we have big hands. We don't have very many upgrades. Getting an upgrade on Eruption is actually super good, because if we have like a 3-cost Eruption, we can decost it down to 1. Alright, so I'll do that. That feels good. I think the argument for having 5 Devaforms is not that you want to play 5 Devaforms, it's that you want to reliably play Devaform on turn 1. Aiming for the other shop costs us a fire. It is possible that we end up there, but I would prefer to go left because we get an extra fire in the path, like between the elites, and more question marks. This deck has a lot of unrealized potential for sure. You think Shard? Okay, give me an actual pitch for Shard. Like, what are we looking for? We don't want like poison stuff. Like a burst would be good. Or like Nightmare. Feel No Pain. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in other classes, but there's also just like Shard makes your Echo Form. Yeah, okay, that's a honestly that's a pretty good pitch. that's a fastball right there. I do want me an Echo Form. But like the problem with Shard is like reprogram. All the defect cards are busted in other classes. Defect is like what every class wants to splash. And sometimes Ironclad for the exhausted stuff. Silent cards are like almost never good in other classes. You don't want Poison in particular. Poison, Shivs, and Discard, all useless to other classes. Uppercut. Yeah, Shockwave would be super good. I like Shockwave a lot. Source of Vulnerable. I guess the best argument for Prismatic Shard is like there aren't any Watcher cards that we're looking for, right? There's lots of busted stuff we can get from other classes, and we're not like looking for anything in particular from Watcher, so we can afford to take it. And I think that's kind of a rare luxury. Whirlwind to go with our Perspective Chemical X. Alright, I'm going to take the Prismatic Shard and the card remove. How about that? The Sash Whip? God. I really don't want to lose the Sash Whip. I want to have a Source of Weak. I can't remove the Prostrate now, because now I might not find any more Mantra cards. Could be Conjure, but that's my like scaling plan still. We don't really need a scaling plan because we have Sands of Time and Ragnarok. But it feels nice to have one. Is the Shard likely to give me weak? I don't know if that's true. Other classes definitely have weak, but other classes have much better weaks. Is that true? There's like Leg Sweep and Shockwave and Uppercut and Clothesline. All of those cards would be absolutely amazing in this deck. What about Defect? Defect's got like Beam Cell, which is terrible. Does Defect have any other good weak? Go for the Eyes. Wait, is it Go for the Eyes and not Beam Cell? Yeah, Beam Cell's the vulnerable one, you're right. Crippling Cloud would be fairly good. I don't know, it's hard to pay off the poison part of that. Alright, I'll remove the Sash Whip. GFTE? What does that mean? So we have Snecko Eyes, so the original energy cost doesn't work, or isn't the real cost. We have Swivels, so we can play Sands of Time and Ragnarok. Let's play Rag first. Cool. Wow. This deck is something else. Okay. We can get Flechettes. Mythmaker, it's your time. Alright, somebody pitch me Flechettes. Are we picking Flechettes here? We have Snecko Eye, so we naturally have large hands. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks. Is that it? 5 out of 16. Blasphemy, Conjure Blade tend to get stuck in hand. But skip. Streamline's definitely bad. I don't need any of that noise. Armaments is decent. We probably should skip, but the fact that we see a Flechettes Plus in a Watcher deck after having an extended conversation about Flechettes is very nice. Alright, we're gonna skip it. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should have not picked Conjure Blade, or Prismatic Shard. Here's an argument against it. We have an Establishment in the deck, and we're very unlikely to find a Meditate now. I was thinking, there's no card that I specifically need, but Meditate. Meditate is a card we could use. You know, we do have Akabeko, so Flechettes is actually a big payoff for that. On turn 1, how many skills are we likely to draw? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the deck. 7 in the deck. We're drawing 7 cards out of 16. Does Well-Laid Plans synergize with Establishment? What's the text on Well-Laid Plans? I think we talked about this the other day. Yeah, it does. Oh shit. Okay, well if that happens, that's insane, obviously. That's like super busted. That's like way better than Meditate. But we did, I think, even if there's 2 chances, if there's like Meditate and Well-Laid Plans, they're now the like mega Establishment combos, we have reduced the density of them, right? Because now there's sort of two cards in 4 cards, 4 classes worth of cards versus 1 card in 1 card worth of class, in 1 class worth of cards. Sorry, what am I choosing right now? Oh, right, Flechettes. So we have 7 cards. We do not have Miracle in starting hand. We swapped for Snecko Eye. So it's 7 out of 16 is... Sorry, I'm getting very confused. We're drawing, so we have 7 out of 16, but then we're drawing 7 of those cards. But if I take 7 and then divide it by 16 and then multiply by 7, so we have 3 cards on average. Okay, all right, we did it. It's just, yeah, it is 49 divided by 16, but that's not any particular number. You can find and meditate through Hello World and distraction. That is technically true. I think I'm no on flechettes. We've already got a couple of things that scale pretty well with Akabeko. I don't think we need more. Sorry, flechettes. Sorry, Mythmaker Oxymore. Alright, we're taking an upgrade, clearly. Got plenty of health. That does nothing. I guess it's possible that we want to play that after it's too expensive to play the first time. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. I guess retain makes it a little bit better. That's true. It also makes it combo with establishment. Maybe it is blasphemy. Extra block on Sanctity, Swivel, or Vigilance makes some sense. Turn 2, Conjure Blade, Akabeko. Could be. If we spend all of turn 1 Conjure Blading. Prostrate's a decent upgrade. Actually, no, it's not. It never hits a breakpoint, right? It takes a long time for that to hit a breakpoint. The first breakpoint, that is at when we're 9 turns into a fight, and we're on 27. This puts us into Divinity when this wouldn't. So this does nothing. Okay. Yeah, retaining lets us... I mean, retain is super useful on Blasphemy, right? Because you can only use it when you're going to win the fight with it. The problem with it right now is I feel like whenever we draw Blasphemy is when we win the fight, and we don't really need to set it up. But none of the other upgrades do anything other than like slight numbers on Vigilance, Swivel, and Sanctity. That's true. If we play Prostrate twice, it starts to matter. I'm not really sure I want Establishment to be innate. I guess it doesn't cost much because we draw 7 cards. But I kind of want to spend turn 1 killing people rather than developing powers. This deck is so explosive on turn 1 with Akabeko and Ragnarok, I'd rather not block the hand. Right, I'm going to go with Blasphemy. What if you get that 1 defect card, block card, which retains your entire hand? Yep, that does work, I think. That's a good point. So there's 3 cards that pay off now. Okay. There's a 0-cost David form here. We can Omniscience a Ragnarok. Omniscience Ragnarok does, let's see, 14 times 6 plus 6 times 6, so that's 20 times 6, which is 120 damage. It's a lot of damage. We're always playing that. And then we wall up for block. Seems good. Is the audio cutting out for anybody else? I am concerned about that problem. But I don't see any dials or widgets that are yelling at me. What is happening? Normally I expect OBS to be showing me my audio levels, but it's not. That's weird. I wish that when you played Conjure Blade for 0, you did not get an Expunger. But that's not how that works, unfortunately. Eruption Windmill Strike should be lethal. It is. We also have Blasphemy Sands of Time in the hand. That's just not the one I saw first. Pummel seems totally busted with Akabeko. We don't really strength scale, though. Backflip is quite good. We actually did get another Prostrate. I was assuming we couldn't remove it because we'd never see it again. But there it is. Right in front of me. Backflip's pretty good with Deva Form. Backflip Sanctity. It's like a Sundial combo. But we don't have Sundial. Sorry, I need to clean my glasses. I'm just seeing little spots of dust, and I can imagine that you can see them as well. This dust is really stuck on there. What in the heck is this stuff? There's still some on there. Let's deal with that later. Yeah, Pummel definitely synergizes with Akabeko. I don't know if I agree with the... We have lots of multi-hit cards. We have one multi-hit card. We just have a pretty small deck, so we've been finding it a lot. Seems like the downside of Pummel is pretty limited. Worst case scenario, it hits for 10. I have 2, do I? Oh, Conjublade. Yeah, that's true, technically. It says Exhaust on it. Could combo with some Ironclad cards that we could pick later. Ironclad cards also give us additional access to strength scaling, so we don't have to depend on fasting. We could just get, like, Demon Form or Flex or Inflame or something. I mean, how bad can Pummel be, right? We've got an Akabeko in the deck. Maybe we pick a Wreath of Flame after we have Pummel. Alright. Running out of upgrades. I chose not to do Establishment. Eruption, Deva Form, Omniscience are all useless. Is it Conjure Blade? I think Conjure Blade gets the upgrade here. Prostrate's basically useless. These get some small number tweaks. Conjure Blade gets a pretty major boost. Okay. Omamori or Sapphire Key. Yeah, backflip's pretty reasonable there. Does Omamori do anything specific? It lets us Mind Bloom. Take the gold. Lets us pick Curse Key, but we could also pick Curse Key after we pick Sapphire Key. But I guess if we're going to pick Curse Key, I would rather have Omamori than Sapphire Key, right? Because Omamori lets me open a chest. Open 2 chests, right? Whereas Sapphire Key lets me skip this chest and not need to open a future chest. Okay. Alright. 9 billion gold. My god. We can Omniscience right now to play Ragnarok and do a bunch of damage. And then, like, Sands of Time as a follow-up. If we play Omniscience, we're not playing Deva Form. We could use Blessing of the Forge to save Deva Form. I assume that if we Omniscience Ragnarok, both of the Sneaky gremlins are dead. It's not guaranteed to be true. It's very likely. Necronomicon's a cool dream. Is that actually possible? Yeah, we could get it in either of these two. Necronomicon's like super good in this deck too. If you have Necronomicon and you Omniscience a Ragnarok, it does not play it a third time, I believe, or does it? I'm unclear about how Omniscience and Necronomicon interact. It does. Oh, wow. Alright, let's do this first, see what happens. As expected. Yeah, sure. Obviously. This is getting played, but we could upgrade it first. Doesn't seem like we're going to need Daviform in the fight. He's already down to 58. So I don't think using this to save Daviform is appropriate. Does Discord pot? Are you talking about the Distilled Chaos? I would say that's unlikely, but not impossible. All we have to do is get Eruption, right? Eruption definitely kills him. Wallop is useful. Blasphemy kills him. A Blizzard deck has the same idea as a Poison deck. Low early damage, relies on skills to build up damage, and hopes to end the fight with one big burst of damage. Blizzard itself acts as a chip card, and becomes a heavy damage card naturally, so there's less concern about setting up the chip and the big burst of damage. Blizzard is the defect as Catalyst is the silent. Hard disagree. I don't disagree with any of the directions you're proposing. Like, Blizzard does do all the things you're proposing. But like, imagine this, okay? You're fighting the heart. Your opening hand is Burst plus, Deadly Poison plus, and Catalyst plus, right? You just play those three cards. You develop 14 poison from the Deadly Poison plus, and then you multiply it times 9, and you get like 130 poison damage on turn 1, right? You're basically guaranteed to kill the heart on turn 5 at that point. You like can't miss. That's what Catalyst can do. What Blizzard can do is if you get your turn 1 and you play 2 copies of what's that card called? Capacitor, and you have a Inserter, and you have a Frozen Core, and you have like a bunch of Glaciers, then you can like block out the first 2 cycles of the heart, and after you do that, you can start hitting him for 100 with a Blizzard, right? And you're like, bam, take that, take 100 damage. By that point, Catalyst has killed him way earlier. The fight is over with a Poison Silent, and like, your defect is still struggling to survive, because you have to, like, scale your focus a bunch to block with Frost Orbs. It's just, like... Yeah, so you're, like, directionally correct, but the dream that you're proposing is, like, really hard to pull off, whereas the Poison Silent is, like, not unreasonable. Very possible. There's lots of ways to make Catalyst busted. Alright, let's see if this wins the fight on the spot. It probably only saves us 10 health. But if it does that, it's paid for itself, so. Looks like we did get Blasphemy. And Eruption. That's awkward. Still wins. Quick Slash plus? No. Every card says plus here, which is weird. Most of them are 0 cost. Quick Slash does 12 damage. Yeah, if the multiplier on Blizzard was higher, it would definitely be a better card. I think Blizzard should start at 5 times and upgrade to 7 times. 2 to 3 is ludicrously bad. 5 to 7 would be pretty decent. 5 to 7 might be too good. That's like almost as good as like Lightning Storm or Thunder Strike. What is it called? Is it Lightning Strike? Thunder Strike? 3 to 4 would be much better. I don't know if that's enough. No. We want those. All right, seems like we're pretty strong, so let's go fight another elite. Give ourselves a chance for that Necronomicon. We can block this Wrath with Omamori. Yeah, but that's what Blizzard should do. Blizzard should turn your Frost Orbs into Lightning Orbs, right? It's like that's the point. You're turning your Frost into damage. It probably would be too much damage, but like my design philosophy as a game designer is like, if you're making a change to something, you don't want to make small changes and then when you're satisfied, stop. You want to make big changes that are too much and then be like, that's too much, let's pull it back. Because then you know where the bounds are, right? You know what too low is, you know what too high is, you can land in the middle. If you never know what too high is, you're never going to know when to stop. So my first change would be 5 times, and then if it's super busted, I would pull it back. But my first change would be 5 times. I think that anytime you can use Omamori, you should. This might stop us from taking 1,000 gold in Act 3, but it's a free relic, so. Buenos dias, guitar. How's it going? Pretty shirt. This is like a 2010 PyCon shirt. This is like an 11-year-old shirt. Stupid graphic tee. But can Catalyst save you from 72 times 15? If you're taking 72 times 15, you've been fighting the heart for too long. You need to either have, like, a nightmare combo that gives you infinite intangible, or you are dead. The Frost Orbs is not going to block for 72 times 15 either. Unless you have a lot of focus. Alright, Regal Pillow. Suddenly we have lots of value out of resting. That's awkward. Dreamcatcher Regal Pillow. I don't think we've rested so far in the run, so probably not getting too much value out of that. Omniscience costs 0 here. There's no way to enter Wrath mode. We could dupe pot the Omniscience to play double Blasphemy and then double Ragnarok. I think that wins the fight, right? Dupe pot's kind of expensive. That's a lot of potion. Yeah, double blasphemy doesn't do anything. Do we need to use the dupe pot? Yeah, good question. I don't think we get lethal this turn without it, right? There's no damage in the hand other than Omniscience. And single Ragnarok I don't believe is enough. Single Ragnarok is 120 AoE damage, and they have over 150 health, so that wouldn't be enough. It's possible we could get away with a colorless pot, maybe? How does that work? No, I don't think they ever do enough damage. Master Strategist? Oh, to get Blasphemy. That would work. I'm gonna use the dupe pot. We could try to save it, but I don't. We've got 4 potion slots. We don't particularly need to be saving stuff. Boom. There's Shockwave. Bullet time. Vajra's a big pickup, too. We've got a Pummel and a Ragnarok. Yeah, Bullet Time's pretty good with Snecko Eye. Shockwave is a card we talked about earlier, and it seems really good. But up against Bullet Time seems like a hard pitch. So bullet time changes our hand from we're able to play 2 cards on average to we're able to play 6 cards guaranteed. Which seems like a pretty good upgrade. Okay. Bullet time does add a permanent card to the deck. Doesn't exhaust or anything. Whatever. Surprise shot. Got a Dolly's Mirror. We get all the stats. Vajra to go with our oddly smooth stone. Yeah, we're not building an infinite. I do like to keep the deck small, but you're right, we're not building an infinite. Extra Ragnarok Plus. I said I would take another Deva form. Could do that now. Could take another Omniscience. Decks with Omniscience usually want 2 Omnisciences, right? Because then you can into Omni. Extra Wallop would be good. True. Double bullet time would increase the uptime, but sometimes you draw them both at the same time. But would get us pretty close to 100% uptime drawing 7 cards. I guess it's not 100%. It's probably closer to like 65% or something. Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards Omni. I'm not sure what the argument for double Ragnarok is. I mean, then you have 2 Ragnaroks. I get that part. Part that I don't get is like, once you play a Ragnarok, isn't the fight over? What's our plan for the heart? We do like Divinity Wallop Ragnarok stuff, right? Seems like we want an extra Wallop for that fight. But I think for the heart, we're trying to like Deva form Conjure Blade, right? After we do that, we'll have, what, like 81 gold left over? Is there anything else we want to do here? Nope. That is fair. Protect is actually pretty decent. Establishment, Snecko Eye. We don't have much block. It's on sale. Yeah, it does seem like we need more block. I'm not sure Protect is really enough. Protect does give us a good card to upgrade, too. Protect gets a pretty decent amount of extra block when you upgrade it. 4. I guess it's the same as Vigilance. Yeah, okay. It's really weird to have Deva form and bullet time. I'm very confused about this deck now. I need like a lot of card draw, I guess. Very confusing. Alright, I think I am going to Dolly's the Omni. Because I'm going to want to play an Omni on turn 1. Having 2 of them increases the chance. And I think Protect's probably worth it. After we take the Protect, I think we're probably upgrading the Establishment next. So that we can start decosting stuff on turn 1 for Act 3. Magnetism creates cards. Sorry, it's too late for that. Yeah, magnetism is good. It adds it to your hand, so it doesn't get randomized, or at least the first time you play it. I think protect is better than skip, certainly, so I'll take a protect. And I think feeder pot is probably worse than skip. I want to leave this potion slot open, so. Okay. We've been getting turn 1 omniscience in like every fight, so as soon as we get a second omniscience, it's like that gravy train's over. No more of that. Wouldn't want to. This does 55 damage. This is clearly happening. I'll swivel at the end for free attacks next time. Yeah, swivel does feel much worse now. That is a good point. We could Sanctity to draw 2, or we could just Omni Rag. Which is lethal? Yeah, it's definitely lethal. Okay, let's do this first. Omni Rag. Okay. Turns out the deck's good. We could take a Consume. That's stupid. Was there a Blasphemy Rag? I missed it. Bane's bad. Backflip seems pretty good. Could make up for earlier not taking a backflip. We could Omni a backflip. Blocks for 10, draws 4 cards. Consume. I mean, we have a circle, right? We have to consume the circle. It's a forbidden snack floating above our head. Yeah, let's take a backflip. Alright, Smith. A couple of good targets now. We could upgrade the Protect. Establishments stock went up a lot when we got Protect. Bullet Time is another card that doesn't do anything. Joining the ranks of Eruption and both Omnisciences. I think it's going to be Establishment. I think we were going to want that decosting going on in Act 2. Maybe it's Backflip? 3 extra block? Nah. We might end up removing the Swivel from the deck at this point. We've got a lot of thoughts on Scrape. Scrape is great now. Scrape used to be bad, now it's good. Scrape is back, baby. Well, this is a disappointing turn 1. We could just Conjure Blade for 4. I think I want to just save the Akabeko. So it's either like Establishment or Devotion that's getting developed. I guess we should play Sanctity because he's attacking. So I'll play Establishment. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Omniscience Ragnarok does a surprising amount. Fills your hand, lets you bullet time something nuts. Alright. Oh, I only have 3 energy. I just assume I have 4 energy by this point in the game, but no. Okay. I only have 3 energy, so we can't play Establishment Sanctity. We could just Swivel. Develop something for next turn. That's true. We could Swivel Wallop. I was just Wallop blocks out. I don't need the Swivel. I wanted to save the Akabeko, though, since there's so many good payoffs for it now. Alright, see you, Sir Animal. I think I'm just gonna play Devotion. I think getting Devotion developed is more important than Establishment. There's no retain cards in hand. Yeah, maybe I should just Wallop. Block the damage. Bye, Mythmaker. Alright, you've convinced me, Mythmaker. Let's Plate Armor Pot. Doesn't help immediately. We have to play Daviform, or else we're going to lose the fight eventually. Oh. I was kind of sad, because Mythmaker, you came in and you've been making like lots of pitches, and I've been disagreeing with you every time, except on Blizzard. And then you finally said something, and I was like, yeah, Mythmaker's right, I should be blocking for 18. And then I thought you were leaving, and I was like, no. He left before I could do the thing he wanted me to do. But then, hey, turns out you were here. Protect would help block out, but we have to play Daviform, basically. Almost non-optional. Let's drink a colorless pot, see if it can block. Nope. I think I'll take a Madness. There's lots of expensive cards in hand. Maybe one of them will help. Backflip, okay. Not really very helpful. Alright. No Blasphemy, that would kill us. We have attacked. We used the Akabeko on turn 1. Oh, you're right. Stixu is the one who suggested blocking for 18 is no small feat. That's what convinced me. Well, shoot. I guess you'll have to keep pitching stuff, and then eventually maybe I'll agree with one of the things. I would like to draw cards with Sanctity before I bullet time, but it appears that that's impossible. I mean, I could play Blasphemy, but then I would lose, so... Not particularly interested in doing that. Alright, bullet time it is. Go ahead and get rid of the Pummel. It's not really doing anything. Is 5 good enough for Conjure Blade? I think no. I think I need more. No reason to play Sands of Time right now. I'd rather play it in Wrath mode. Gotta be a little bit careful here. We might die to Champ. We could Omniscience a Swivel, gets it out of the deck, makes the next 2 attacks free. It's pretty sick. Bunch of free stuff here. I think I want to play Devotion and Establishment, though, so I'm not going to play Omni. Okay. We could Omni the Eruption, and then Wallop blocks for twice as much. Then we can Rag for free, and play Vigilance. That seems fine. We split him, So we're going to have to play Conjure Blade next turn, but that's perfect, because we're going to have a bunch of energy next turn. And then it'll put the Expunger right on top of the deck, and we should be able to Divinity Expunger to kill. So we don't want to play Omniscience, because we want exactly 7 cards here. So we also don't want to backflip. We want specifically 7 cards. So we will leave those alone. Alright, I don't want to play anything expensive. That includes Bullet Time, unfortunately. I think we're going to hold Windmill Strike, because next turn we're going to be in Divinity mode. So I'll just Conjure Blade for 8. Weak wears off, just in time for us to Divinity and kill him, I assume. Oh, we're going into Divinity with, whatchamacallit? With Devotion. I thought I was going to have to use the Blasphemy. I totally forgot about Devotion. This does 30 times 8. That seems like a lot. 240. Seems pretty lethal. We have an additional 120 damage from those, and 21 times 6 over here. Somehow we have to find lethal. We have 13 energy and like a backflip and bullet time. This is kind of obscene. Okay. All for 1 with Snecko Eye. You don't say. It's up against Reaper Plus in a deck that actually has a little bit of strength. Vajra. Jesus. Oh, sorry, I ignored your controversy, Mythmaker. Building up a defense deck is super effective with a blood cost deck. What do you even mean? A defense deck? Oh, barricade deck. That's kind of hard to imagine. The blood cost thing is mostly for strength scaling. How does that help you block? I guess if you have the self-forming clay, maybe? Could work. So All for One can do all sorts of obscene stuff. Could get back a free wallop. Actually, with Establishment, we're very likely to have 0-cost cards in the discard pile on demand, because we can decost things with Establishment, play them All for One, play them again. Seems like exactly the right sort of busted. When Bullet Time says 0 this turn, what it means is this turn or until the card gets played. Much the same way as Mummified Hand says this turn. So if we Bullet Time, make our whole hand cost 0, and then play All for One, we don't get the whole hand back. We only get things that have a natural 0 cost back. So that doesn't work quite as well as you might think. Wow, maybe I should pick Prismatic Shard more often. I usually think of Prismatic Shard as just like complete meme stuff, but like these cards are really good. Those are solid. Like, do I want to play Blasphemy Reaper? Hell yeah, I do. I would love to gain 15 health per enemy and win the fight. All for One seems like it does the most busted stuff. Reaper has a pretty good dream too. I think it's going to be All for One. And then we probably don't take any more attacks for the rest of the game. Seriously? Still no energy? We'd have to take a Velvet Choker to take energy here. Seems bad in a Bullet Time Omniscience deck. Seems basically unpickable, unfortunately. We could do Sacred Bark with Potion Belt. It's kind of neat. Makes me feel a little bit bad for blowing that dupe pot earlier. We could have bought that fruit juice. That would have been sweet. Sacred Bark fruit juice. Doesn't do much with the current deck. 8 plated armor. I believe that Blessing of the Forge doesn't even work with Sacred Bark, even if you do have a Searing Blow in hand. Using Bloodletting, Combust, Hemokinesis, etc. is the only reliable way you can control your health pool. You can control this with a butt ton of defense while building up for blood. Man, that is a... You're out there on a wild branch right there. I don't know. Blood for blood is not really worth building up for. It's pickable, but it's not a good enough payoff to build your deck around. Shoot. A Snecko swap. No energy relics were offered at the end of Act 1, so the only energy relic we see the entire game is Velvet Choker, which is unpickable by the time we see it. Is it unpickable? We could do Omniscience and still play 3 cards out of hand. Maybe if we play Bullet Time and then 5 cards, that's enough. But, like, we have All for One now, and, like, Backflip. It's not enough. We're gonna get choked all the time if we pick Choker. But maybe that's worth it. Gives us an extra energy for Conjure Blade shenanigans. 6 cards is a lot. Like, usually you can have a pretty good turn with 6 cards. Tiny House. Oh, gosh. What a nightmare. Where's my curse key here? Coffee Dripper. Fusion Hammer. Ectoplasm at this point. Very disappointing boss relics this run. The Pandora's Box was good, but... No, I can't do it. I can't pick the Choker. It's going to feel so bad to be a 3 energy deck in Act 4, though. We don't even have any energy relics at all. We don't even have, like, a Happy Flower or Nunchaku or anything. But we do have, like, a lot of energy manipulation in the deck, right? We've got a Snecko, which is energy manipulation, and Deva Form, and Omniscience is Bullet Time. Even a Swivel. There's so much energy manipulation in the deck. I think we've already built around being a 3 energy deck. I think we'll be fine. Is it possible to get one in the Fight in Act 1 boss event? No, you get a rare relic from that, not a boss relic. Plenty of good stuff, but no boss relics. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take Bark. Bark is better than House, right? What's the best random upgrade? Backflip or Protect, I think. Backflip, Protect, Vigilance, and Sanctity are all reasonable upgrades. Swivel is fine too. Yeah, I guess there's a pretty decent number of upgrades. 50 gold is not much, but it might make an Act 3 shop a little bit less awkward. Could be Tiny House. It's Tiny House versus Sacred Bark, so battle of the weak ones. Having strong free cost attack complements a defense-heavy build. Having Combust also supplements your damage while you build up defense Having to reduce your blood for bloods. Having blood for blood card also pairs well with Body Slam, because you have 2 cards of very different rarities doing heavy damage while letting you pour most of your energy into managing your HP. I mean, Mythmaker, the deal with if you like Combust is great. Combust is like AoE for Act 1, and but like you want Rupture with that. I don't know why you're not talking about Rupture. You want like Rupture Pummel. It's like, or like Heavy Blade or something. Blood for Blood's just not it. I can't imagine it does, but it would be really cool if Prismatic Shard unlocked class-specific potions as well as class-specific cards. Yeah, it doesn't do class-specific potions or relics, just cards. And only cards in card rewards. So shops still have your original class cards. Combat reward screens. I mean, if you're building around the barricade, why don't you just use Body Slam? What's the point of the Blood for Blood? Why do you need any of the self-hurting stuff? I'm gonna pick Sacred Bark. Maybe we find a regen pot or something. Time Lord? Okay. We've already done our green key. We can't go here. I'm not doing 2 shops. It's kind of a nice end to the act. We can get 3 elites and do that. Doesn't get very many fires. This way it gets 2 fires, but then only 2 elites. Gets a lot of question marks. The second elite is late. I'll wait hallway fights too. Yeah, but you're not gonna if it's a current controversy that you're trying to start, but you're like not saying anything reasonable, then you're like not actually starting a controversy. To make a controversy, you have to say things that people have like strong, conflicting opinions on. Whereas if you say something silly, then people just disagree with you. It's not a controversy. It's like, no, that's not true. Yeah, I think I like left for the extra fires. I don't know what we need the extra fires for, but we do have like Dreamcatcher and Regal Pillow, so like if we can get into a position where we need to rest, that's kind of good. We also need to recall in this act, so having extra fires helps us do that. Okay. Ragnarok's kind of difficult in this fight because of Spiker. We can't afford Sands of Time Wallop because we are a 3 energy deck in Act 3. Actually, can we win right now? Does Blasphemy... Oh no, if we play Blasphemy, we can't play 2 attacks because we don't have enough energy. Blasphemy Ragnarok probably wins. And in fact, we would only take 7 damage return. Because it would only hit him once. This explosive potion does 20 damage. Blasphemy into Sands of Time. Seems dangerous. Forge Pot doesn't do anything. Essence of Steel. We could use Essence of Steel to block. We could Sands of Time Exploder and then block with that. I think I'm just going to take 7 damage and just Blasphemy Rag. I mean, we're either taking 7 damage from killing him right now and ending the fight. We take 9 damage if we let him survive and don't use a potion. We take 1 damage if we let him survive and use a potion. But, like, letting him survive just kicks the can down the road. We still have to kill him at some point. I'd rather just kill him now. 7 health is not that expensive. Plus we get to Blasphemy Rag, which is a ridiculous amount of damage. 45 times 6? Are you kidding me? It's like a heart damage cap. It is, in fact, a heart damage cap. And, like, more. Absurd. Gambler's Brew doesn't work with Sacred Bark, so now I've got 2 potions that don't work. Access to a Dropkick Plus. We have no Vulnerable, because we didn't take that Shockwave. We took Bullet Time instead, which was probably correct. We don't want to do Dropkick Loops because we're against Time Lord, and we are a Snecko Eye deck, so that doesn't actually work. So we skip this. Armaments would be okay if it was upgraded, but we've got most of the important upgrades, so no thanks. No choice there. Hey, here's the Mind Bloom. We could take gold and hope one of these is a shop. We could take gold and go through these 2 shops. Flex is not terrible in the deck. I could have taken the Flex. We have Ragnarok Pummel, 2 Omnisciences. We could Omniscience, Omniscience, and then Omniscience a Flex into Ragnarok on turn 1. It's pretty reliable and would do 18 times 6 damage. 18 times 6. It would be even more if we're in Divinity. It'd be, what is it? 54 times 6 damage. 300 AoE damage on turn 1. Rar. Yeah, Normality is pretty bad. If there was a shop next floor, we could do it. So I guess we shouldn't have taken the Wrath for the relic. The Dreamcatcher was not worth it. Drat. But there was no way to know. So we take a rare relic here. That's true. We do have a potion for the Normality. Having 1,000 gold is usually better than having a rare relic. Some rare relics are outstandingly good. Like Dead Branch in the right deck is obviously like game changing, but some rare relics are like not actually that important. Duvu for example. It's kind of it's a skippable one. We don't have any meta scaling, so we don't like Hand of Greed bosses or like lesson learned from them or anything. So there's no advantage for just picking a fight. I kind of think the gold is correct. We get an extra... Do we still get 2 elites? I thought we had 3, but no. Yeah, exactly. Wing boots. There's some kind of bad rare relics. The Normality could kill us. Like, we literally just skipped a choker, so if we're really worried about... If we can't even pick choker, like, surely Normality's quite bad. Ice Cream would be pretty good. Ice Cream Expunger. This question could also be a card remove. It's not that uncommon. Looks like we'd have to go through 1 elite with a Normality. Should be doable. I'll do it. Pocket Watch? Good God. Pocket Watch, Snecko Eye. We're pretty unlikely to proc Pocket Watch, to be honest, though. Feels absolutely insane to skip Pocket Watch when it's not necessary, but we're pretty committed to not being a Pocket Watch deck. Omniscience makes Normality not as bad as well. If you don't draw it the first time, you get to pick cards out to play that would normally be drawn with Normality. That's right, Normality plus Pocket Watch, the combo. You can only play 3 cards, but you only want to play 3 cards. I guess Pocket Watch is actually too much draw, right? Because we have Snecko Eye and some retain cards. So it's not all that unlikely that the draw isn't that useful. I think I'm going to take a key. I'd rather have like a, what is it? Anchor or something than a Pocket Watch in this deck. Alright, we are going to go right because that's where the shops are. Okay. That's a curse, but it's not the bad one. All for One doesn't do anything this turn. We can kill with Explosive Pot though, right? 18 plus, this is, what's All for One's damage? 15, right? 14. So it'd be 28. 28 plus 18 is 46. So no, it'd be 66, well short. Okay, so we probably shouldn't play Eruption then. So it's like protect Essence of Steel. You never know what costs 0? What do you mean? You know what costs 0. I'm gonna play Conjure Blade for 2. Oh no, that's Scrape. Yeah. Blasphemy Expunger. We haven't played an attack yet, so it would be well over 100 damage, yeah. This would work too. Jesus. Yeah, they're both like 150. This one's 165, this one's 162. Jiminy. There's a Wheel Kick. Wheel Kick. Anyone? Flame Barrier also here. Wheel Kick seems crazy good with Bullet Time and Omniscience. Flame Barrier is a block card, which we have vanishingly few of. Is there a way to get... Scrape actually doesn't skip statuses if you have Medical Kit, right? If you have Medical Kit, Scrape will draw statuses. Is that true? Do they cost 0? Not sure. Yeah, Flame Barrier is a hell of a card. It's really powerful. But Wheel Kick can do 60 damage, which Flame Barrier is unlikely to do. I guess Flame Barrier actually does do 60 damage against the heart. Flame Barrier Plus is kind of broken against the heart. How much damage is that? If we double cast it, it's 12 damage back, so we do 12 times 15. It's like a damage cap. No, Scrape will never draw X cost cards. They cost X, not 0. Hard to fault either of these. Those are both extremely good cards. I think I'm going to go with the Flame Barrier, just because I would like to have a couple of block cards. It feels like we're so offense focused. Although the Bullet Time really wants more card draw. Wheel Kick does it. I'm gonna take a Flame Barrier. Okay. Alright. How are we killing Spikers here? We could Omniscience a Deva form, and then do something. Pummel plus Windmill Strike kills Spheric Guardian, so we're probably doing that. 55 plus anything. Alright, so let's start with that. I guess we could Omniscience a Wallop, but I think I'd rather... like, play a Wallop when we're in, like, Divinity or something. Oh wait, if I Omniscience Blasphemy... If I Omniscience Omniscience, and then Omniscience Blasphemy and Wallop, do we win? 36 times 2. We'd win with Explosive Pot. Is it worth? We're not getting too much use out of Explosive Pot in Act 3. I think solving shapes is actually a pretty big problem for us. So let's go ahead and burn a potion on it. Okay. We have a second Flame Barrier in addition to a Liquid Bronze. Just only kill the heart with damage return. Seems silly. Is Flame Barrier good? I don't know about second Flame Barrier. How unusual is it to get Prismatic Shard to offer you the same uncommon in two consecutive floors? Yep, that's true. Yeah, if you draw and then discard a Void, you not only lose energy, but you also still have the Void. I think the most tricky Void interaction is if you draw it with, what is that? What's the silent card that draws and then discards a card? Whatever. If you draw it with that card, when you draw it, it doesn't show you the energy loss until after the card is done resolving. So it'll look like you get to. It hasn't taken the energy away yet, but it has. Yeah, I think we're probably taking another barrier. It's really good against Time Lord. No, it's neither of those cards. Prepared does do the same thing, though. The draw and then discard. I was talking about the attack, though. Alright, let's go ahead and Smith or Recall here. Looks like Recall, actually. If we're going through both shops, we don't ever see another fire until here. So we need this one for resting, so we'll Recall here. Triforce assembled. Okay. We have a Blasphemy and an Omniscience in hand, so I imagine this is lethal. Which is just on its face absurd. We're just turn one lethaling every single fight. So it's like Blasphemy, Omni, Ragnarok. Let's see, the Ragnarok's gonna hit for... is it 45? Yeah, it's 45, right? No, it's 14. Oh yeah, it is. It's yeah. So it's 15 times 6, so 45. So that just kills on its face. So we don't even have to double Omni. We just Blasphemy, Omni. Blasphemy gives us an extra 1 energy. I'll go ahead and do it just for fun. Rag first, and then something that doesn't matter. Let's set up David Form for next fight. Okay. Yeah, so Mythmaker, you raise an excellent point, and a point that card games often have a lot of trouble with. What do the cards represent in Slay the Spire? Because, like, when you use the cards, you do things, so they clearly represent, like, your preparation to do a thing. But, like, why wouldn't you just be able to do any of the things you know how to do? It's a very gamey conceit. We could take an extra fire here and dodge an elite. The elite is fairly dangerous while we have a normality in hand, or in deck. So we could just skip it. If we think we're strong enough without the relic, then we could get an upgrade on probably Flame Barrier. Maybe Protect. I don't really like the feeling of weaseling around the elites, though. But I think we get really strong at these shops, so I think we're going to skip this one. This is not a relic-powered run, this is a card-powered run. And Snecko Eye. Alright. I think Flame Barrier gets the nod over Protect and Backflip. 4 extra block is what Protect gets. It's also what Vigilance gets. But Flame Barrier also gets extra damage return. 4 is 2 per energy, although the per energy doesn't matter because we have Snecko Eye. So. Alright, Flame Barrier. Alright, we've already assembled the whole Triforce, so we're free to do whatever we want here. I guess I'll take a Duvu Doll. Shapes again. Man, this run is just making me fight Spikers over and over and over. I figured I'm okay to spend a potion fighting a Spiker, because you only see Spikers like once or usually at most twice, but this is our 3rd Spiker fight, so I guess that wasn't true. I want to use Sanctity to draw cards, but there's no 0-cost skills. Think of bullet time. You can only have so much time to do as much as you can while the enemies are still trying to react. Yeah, but, like, why is it these specific cards? Like, why can't I play Omniscience right now? It doesn't depend on how much time I have, it depends on what's in my hand. We do have 3 strength right now. We have a Vajra and a Duvu Doll for 2. But no way to pay it off this turn. I guess a Windmill Strike, technically. Alright. Windmill Strike is better next turn than it is this turn. So I'm going to play it next turn. Have you ever been ambushed, like, in real life? Okay, so we have access to Blasphemy Ragnarok. I guess if we Swivel and Flame Barrier, we have enough block to tank the damage. Wait, what is 17 times 3? Is that as high as 53? I think it's not, but 17 times 3 is 51. So Ragnarok would kill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks. It's got 6. So we need block for 14, and we can do that with these. So this is lethal. We have enough energy. Yeah, costs 5. We have, whatever, 7. Okay. This deck is ridiculous. Hey, there's our second shot at Magnetism. Could grab that. Rip and Tear Plus is a hell of a card. You can't prepare for a fight you weren't expecting. Huh. I don't know what you mean by that. You're saying that I'd only be able to play Omniscience if I was prepared to play Omniscience? Is Magnetism actually good? Random colorless card. Do random colorless cards help me against Time Lord? Some of them do. Dark Shackles. Panic Button. Some of them don't. I think I'm no on Magnetism. Seems like almost pickable. The deck is just too good, though. We don't need that noise up in here. Alright, time to finally go to that shop. We actually never drew the normality. We, like, went through this whole thing. We were worried about, like, how to work around normality. Never happened. Wasn't relevant. This shop is bonkers. There's a Clockwork Souvenir, Calipers, and a Talk the Hand Plus, as well as card remove on normality, and we could buy a boot. So this is almost certainly happening. This is almost certainly happening. That spends 271. We'll still have 956. Actually, artifact bullet time is not what I want to do. It is true that like that is a good interaction, right? But what I want to do with the artifact is block the hearts vulnerable. That's the most important thing. Talk to the hand seems crazy with a Ragnarok in the deck. We can also Omniscience talk to the hand. Let's go ahead and do this bit. Artifact does not cancel out. Well, sorry. Artifact does cancel out Confused, but only if you get Confused from Snecko, the Snecko fight. If you have these two relics, you will be confused and have an artifact charge. They do trigger in order, but these happen at different times. This says start the fight confused, and this says, they say they happen at the same time, but they do not. I'm pretty sure that even if you have Clockwork Souvenir before Snecko Eye, you will not be confused. I think they actually proc at different times. Why that's the case, I don't know. We should probably pick Talk to the Hand because it's a Talk to the Hand. We are a multi-attack deck. We have a Pummel, Ragnarok, and Expunger. All do crazy stuff with Talk to the Hand. Okay. Calipers? It seems like when we block for a lot. I don't know if we're really a deck that is over-blocking, though. Boot. Seems like we do a ton of damage, and we can do it on whatever turn we want, so I don't think buying the boot for a Nemesis fight is correct. As much as past me said that I needed to, I think I'm going to choose not to do it. Even though earlier in this run, I said that I needed to buy the boot if I could, and I clearly can. I think I'm going to say no to Calipers. I think that's just a lot of gold. I think we really are going to use all 866 gold, because we've got another shop here, and there's an Act 4 shop. I think spending 400 gold per shop is pretty reasonable. Hello, Sir Admiral. Welcome back. Clearly not buying a potion, we're all full. Although we do have Sacred Bark, so potions are quite good. Buy the boot for the 9,000 IQ Nemesis fight. Whoa. I mean, there was that one time I was off by like 4 damage and died. But I don't think that's going to happen, because we have like retained damage. We actually dodged the previous elite. We took a fire instead of the elite. So we have not fought an elite yet. We still had a normality, and I don't think I need relics that badly. So it's a little bit embarrassing, but we could pick Transmutation for the theoretical Chemex pick. Also, Transmutation with Devaform is not bad. I do not believe that the artifact will negate the confusion. I don't believe those will interact. I could be wrong. I don't know how many times I've had Snecko Eye and Clockwork Souvenir at the same time. It's possible that the order matters. If they trigger at the same time, that I believe it would cancel the confusion because it's after. You know for certain they do not in this order. Interesting. So if they don't in this order, they must be on different triggers, because they should in this order. This is the order where they should interact. AKA, you should have the artifact when you get the confused if they happen at the same time. But I don't believe they do. Alright, I think I'm done with this shop. I'm interested in figuring out the thing. So we are confused and have an artifact charge. So the name I picked, actually they go in this order. I don't know why, but they are added to your relics in a stack, and then removed from that stack top down. So the Clockwork Souvenir would happen before the confusion. Is Blasphemy Ragnarok lethal? It's 16 times 3, it would be 48 times 6, would be 288, which is super duper lethal. Yeah, it usually only matters if you have like Clockwork Souvenir and whatchamacallit, mutagens. But yeah, it's this order is the artifact first. So if this was a mutagens and this was Clockwork Souvenir, then we would currently have 3 strength and no artifact charge. Whereas if this was mutagens and this was Clockwork Souvenir, then we would have 3 strength, 3 temporary strength down, and an artifact charge. Both of them would end up with us having 3 strength during our turn and after our turn, but sometimes the difference is important. Okay. 48 times 6, turns out that's a big number. I'm less concerned about taking block cards now that we have a Talk to the hand. This is the card I was talking about, Dagger Throw. Draw a card and discard a card. If that draws a Void, it looks like you can discard the Void and dodge the energy down while you're considering what card to discard, but in fact that is not true. I don't think we need any of these. Attack Pot is quite good. I think it's probably better than Forge Pot. Most of our cards are upgraded due to the early Molten Egg and the fact that we've never rested. And the fact that it doesn't double itself with Sacred Bark. One of the few. So I think I'll take an Attack Pot. Getting 2 copies of a 0-cost attack is pretty nuts. Okay. Our boss relic choices were really bad in this game. So we swapped into Snekalai, and then obviously we were looking for an energy relic in Act 1. It was Pandora's versus Black Star. I don't remember what the last one was, but it was not an energy relic. And then in Act 2 it was Sacred Bark versus Tiny House versus Velvet Choker. And this is like a super difficult Velvet Choker pick, so... pretty rough boss relic choices, but it looks like we're getting through it, so... Let's go to another shop. Oh, hey, there's the Kennex! Oh, shit. I guess I should have bought the, whatever that thing's called. The colorless X-cost card. It's Happy Flower. Seems really good. Fossilized Helix, also insane. I think we should buy all the relics here. Transmutation, thank you. See, this is why we kept 866 gold, because this shop is going to be expensive. Just Lucky is on sale. Good point. I skipped a bunch of free Just Luckies, but this one's on sale. How can you say no? Okay, so 163. I'm going to pull out a calculator for this one. I'm not adding together 3 3-digit numbers. You can't make me. 163 plus 321 plus 157 is 641. Yeah, I did consider the Tiny House. It's a pretty bad boss relic. I'm happy to have the Sacred Bark, though, because maybe it's an artifact. Extra artifact later or something. We definitely get huge value out of all these. Fossilized Helix might be the worst one, which is outstandingly unusual. Fossilized Helix is one of the best relics in the game, but we're so desperate for energy, and we have X-cost card for our scaling, so... Honestly, if Happy Flower lines up with Conjure Blade, and we just spend our whole turn Conjure Blading for 7, that's fine. That's like a totally fine turn 1 against the Heart. Um, medium apartment studio. Do we card remove as well? We've got enough money. There's nothing I'm desperate to remove, thanks to Pandora's Box. Yeah, I also live in the Bay Area. Medium studio apartments are luxurious. Although we're outside of the worst of it. And I think prices are going down now that pandemic. All right, so I think we're just picking all these. These are super good. Okay. And then saving money, because card remove isn't that good. Maybe Swivel would get the card remove. Swivel's not been great. Blocking for 8 is not really worth the deck slot anymore, and we've got a bullet time, Omniscience. There's way better ways to manipulate energy. The bomb. The bomb is very card efficient. It goes boom. It's best for AoE fights, which there are vanishingly few of remaining. Could be good in a Reptomancer fight. Could be next floor. Does this generate 4 miracles? It does. Wow. Maybe we energy pot. Energy pot Chemex means we like don't even have to Deva form before we like set up a pretty significant Conjure Blade for Time Lord. We'd have to throw a potion away though. Save for Act 4 shop, yeah. It's pretty reasonable. We do have all 4 potions right now. I think we're probably fine against Time Lord now. Because we just, like, play Ragnarok and he dies. I've never had a deck that killed so many people with Akabeko. Akabeko is absolutely crushing it this run. Alright, we're going to save the rest of the money. It's Nemesis! We could have bought the boot. What have we done? Except we have Lethal because there's an Omniscience in hand, so... Omniscience into Blasphemy, and whatever that card is. Is that card in hand? Ragnarok. Oh, maybe we don't have Lethal. So it'd be Omniscience into... Wait a minute, we can... Oh, no. Okay, so Omniscience into Blasphemy and what? Blasphemy and... Wallop? Ugh. That's no good. Blasphemy and Bullet Time, probably. And then we can play all these cards. Should have taken Flechettes. Great point. Is Omniscience into Blasphemy and Bullet Time lethal? Then we would Ragnarok for... Wait, just 16 times 3 times 6 is lethal, isn't it? 16 times 3 times 6. 288. Yep, don't even have to mess around with double Omni. What the hell? What the hell? Honestly, like, I don't even know what to say about this deck anymore. It's just, it just kills everything on turn 1. Exhume with a Talk to the Hand? We could Omniscience something, and then... So now we can, like, double Omniscience and play Ragnarok, Exhume, Ragnarok? Exhume seems like a pick, right? Yeah, we have to talk to the hand. Let's pick an Exhume. Maybe we need it for second phase of Time Lord. I don't know. We're just making stuff up at this point. Pretends there's going to be a second phase of the Time Lord fight. This is an upgrade because we have... Actually, maybe this is rest. We would get an extra card reward from Dreamcatcher. Does this card reward count for Prismatic Shard? It says combat reward screens, and this says add a card to your deck. I feel like it does count, but the wording implies that it shouldn't. Best Smith is Flame Barrier, which is not a huge upgrade. Eruption, Daviform, Omniscience, Exhume, Bullet Time, all do nothing. That's true, we could Exhume and zero-cost Omniscience. Jesus. Alright, I think I'm going to rest. We end up getting some science value, but I think it's just the right pick. I don't think upgrading Flame Barrier is worth 20 health. We could lose, right? It's possible. Yeah, we do get it. Body Slam? Be pretty good with the calipers we didn't pick. Nah. I don't want to play a random cost Body Slam. It'd be pretty fun to, like, double Omniscience into, like, double Bullet Time into double Body Slam. So if you play Exhume on a card with Snecko, the card comes back at the cost that you played it originally. Yeah, the cost that it was last in your hand. Yeah, it's upgraded. Doesn't do anything. Alright. It's Time Lord time. We've got 2 Omnisciences in hand at a Daviform. Bullet Time as well. Probably gonna play like Daviform, Establishment, and 1 Omniscience. Omniscience can go on like Devotion or Talk to the Hand. Or Ragnarok. I guess if we Ragnarok, it does 288 damage, and he like splits this turn, right? Oh no, that's with the triple. We do have a zero-cost Omniscience. Go back and get it. But what are we playing? We could actually just not play it and then all for one and get it back and play something later. I think the safe approach is Talk to the Hand. I'm gonna Omniscience to Talk to the Hand. So it's Daviform, Establishment, Omniscience to Talk to the Hand. We're leaving ourselves 7 time for next turn. We could play Flame Barrier to get it down to 6. If for some reason we thought we were going to play exactly 6 cards, might be kind of hard to play 7, but I think I'll leave it on 7. Okay. We could Exhume a zero-cost Omniscience, and then Omniscience a Ragnarok. Be kind of fun. It's true, yeah. It's gonna be hard to be in a position where we can't play enough cards. I want this Wallop to land, but it doesn't want to. Being weak and frail is lame. We could just backflip and see what we get. We do have 5 energy. We'll have 2 left. I guess we have the attack pot. We could use the attack pot to remove the armor. and then wallop. Only blocks for 10 though. He's hitting for 24. I guess if we 2 attack bots, that blocks for 12. This blocks for additional 6, so it's 18 plus 10. So yeah, that should do it. I guess I'll backflip first, see if I don't need it. Oh. Okay. We just Ragnaros and Pummel for 0. Sure. If we wallop, we have 5 time next turn. Currently we have 6. No, that's not true. Currently we have 5. We'd have 4 if we wallop. We can, like, all for 1 a Ragnarok next turn. Next turn is going to be pretty easy. I think we just stop at we've blocked out. Okay, he's not attacking. We have 5 energy for Conjure Blade, so we could Conjure Blade for, would it be 8? I think we want to play, we want to play 5 cards this turn, so it's like Eruption, Windmill Strike, all for 1, Windmill Strike, Conjure Blade. Play a bunch of 0-cost stuff. Do a bunch of extra damage. Set up for an Eruption mode, Sands of Time, Conjure Blade lethal next turn. That sounds fun. Blasphemy is here too. Yeah, I guess Blasphemy lethal next turn is the plan. So we'll be doing 11 plus 32 is 43 plus 34. 43 plus 34 is 77, which is very confusing. Then plus 34 again. So we're doing 111. 111 this turn, setting up a Conjure Blade for 8. And Divinity Mode next turn sounds super lethal. Oh, we could do Ragnarok instead of, yeah, we have too much 0-cost stuff, we can't draw it all. I guess this splits him. Sure. Oh, it doesn't actually split him, that's fine. We don't need to split. We'll just kill him. Alright, we've got a full turn. We could even exhume something silly. We could exhume an Omniscience. This deck is just very busted. We are weak, so I will do the math. So Expunger... What's Expunger's natural damage? I have to type that out to know for sure. It is 9. So it's 9 damage, we have 2 strength, so it's 11 times 3, which is 33. 33 with weak, loses 5 plus 4, so it loses 9. So it goes down to 24 damage, which is what it would imply from it being 16 now. So 24 damage times 8, 24 times 8 is what? 24 times 8 is 192. And then Sands of Time, we'll assume, is doing 63 damage. So plus 63. Looks like that's all the damage we have. Which doesn't seem like enough. But then we could exhume Omni and double Ragnarok. Ragnarok is going to be hitting for, let's see, 8, but then with weak and divinity, it is 18 times 6. 18 times 6 is 108, so 255 plus 108 is lethal. Okay, great. Just checking to make sure. Okay. Alright, perfect Time Lord fight. That's nice. Didn't even spend a potion. As long as we can block for 12, we get to perfect this turn. Yeah, this deck is super busted. This is like... I've been playing Watcher nonstop this year. Every single stream has been only Watcher. But this is, I think, the strongest one so far. Very, very silly deck. Probably want to play Protect to block out this turn. No Omniscience, no Devaform. Tough start to the fight. Maybe we Gambler's Brew this hand. This is not a good hand. The Establishment's kind of okay. Yeah, well, if a Gambler's Brew, we're unlikely to be able to block for 12. I guess that's not true anymore. I'm used to thinking the deck doesn't have any block in it, but now we have 2 Flame Barriers. Yeah, I'm gonna look for something better. So now we got a Devaform and a Wallop. Wallop will block out. Yeah, totally calculated. Definitely didn't ignore my Happy Flower that I just spent a bunch of money on. So it seems like Devaform, Devotion, Wallop is probably the line here. I guess we have Bullet Time. And nobody's counting our cards in this fight, so we can just Bullet Time play everything except for Exhume. And Eruption, because... Actually, can we play Eruption? We can, because then this would block for 44. Oh no, it would block for 24, which is still enough. Sorry, it's not exactly 24 because we have 2 strength. So it is 28. Yeah, which is fine. Do we want to be in Wrath? We'll either draw a Vigilance or an Omniscience next turn, but I don't really want to be in the position where I have to play it. Because it might be expensive and I might only have 3 energy next turn. Seems like doing extra damage, though, is pretty good. We can't save Akabiko because we need to Wallop to block this turn, so there's no line where we save it. We're always playing this. Oh, shit. We're not always playing that because we have an Artifact Charge. I guess the Artifact Charge doesn't do anything in the fight, so it doesn't really matter. I just kind of freaked out. Okay, alright. Artifact Charge doesn't do anything in the fight, so we can Bullet Time. But we could use that later when we actually have card draw to take advantage of it. Yeah, alright, I do want to play Devaform and, well, all I need to do is Devaform, Devotion, Wallop. I can save it. Might as well not play the Windmill Strike. We'll get more damage later. Okay. Alright. Vigilance ended up costing 0, so I could have been in Wrath. Talk to the Hand is never going to land in this fight, so we can just use it. Or not. Vigilance, Backflip, Flame Barrier seems okay. I guess we should Backflip first if we're going to do that. This already almost blocks out. But I'm struggling to think of what else I want to do this turn, so I guess I'll Backflip. Might as well exhaust Pummel. It's not going to have any big payoffs later. I guess it hits a lot of plated armor, but I don't want to redraw it, so... I'll skip it. Okay. We finally drew an Omniscience. See, now we can use the Artifact Charge to, like, Bullet Time, then Backflip. And that's neat. We have a Sanctity, too. Although, we could currently just Backflip and then Sanctity and then Bullet Time. So it doesn't actually pay off, but... You know. It's the idea. It almost paid off. Um, that's always getting played, so we might as well draw these cards and see what they are. All for one. That gets back both of these. It's pretty neat. Alright, might as well bullet time now. Make the backflip a little cheaper. I guess we're just doing a bunch of damage to Deca with Flame Barrier this turn? It's a weird turn. We could, like, Omniscience, talk to the hand Establishment. Gets the Establishment down, and gets a couple artifact charges. Reduces the deck size a little bit. Having double Establishment is actually pretty decent with Snecko Eye. So, like, no matter what the cost of the retained cards are, they are playable next turn. Imagine a multi-hit only deck with Ironclad. How do you set it up? It's not that difficult. It's like Sword Boomerang is your only attack. Start with Pandora's Box, get rid of all your attacks. End up with only 2 Sword Boomerangs in the deck or something. I think I've had a deck like that before. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and Omni to Omni to get rid of the not exactly useful cards. Okay, that's a fine outcome. We could just Eruption now. We are guaranteed to hit Vigilance next turn, unless we play Conjure Blade, in which case we could miss it. Actually, we probably should play Conjure Blade here, huh? If we Eruption, we get extra energy, and then we can Conjure Blade for a bigger number. That seems like a good idea. Nine times 9. Seems good. 22 times 9 is certainly lethal on Donu. Is this lethal? Ends up being 24 times 6, right? 24 times 6 is 144. 22 times 9 is 198. 198 plus 144 is 342. Looks like they have more than 342 health. I guess, wait, how did I get? This would be 33 times 9. So it's 297. I got the wrong number somewhere. 297 plus 24 times 6 is still 144. 144. So 441 is the damage from both of these if we're in Divinity. That seems lethal. 233 plus 3 plus 148 is their health. That's 384. So I'm over by like 60. Yeah, okay. Let's do the Expunger first because it can miss harder. And then the Ragnarok should be lethal on Donu. Oh, it's not. Good thing we got the Wallop. Pew, pew, pew. Didn't set up a Happy Flower on that fight, but that's okay. I like giving myself permission to make misplays. I did something wrong. Whatever. 1 health or an upgrade? Surely any of these upgrades is worth 1 health. And by any of these upgrades, I mean Vigilance, Swivel, Sanctity, or Flame Barrier, or Backflip, or Protect. Those are the 6 that kind of matter. Maybe Prostrate. The Vigilance don't matter. The Exhume, Eruption, and Bullet Time don't matter. Data Form doesn't matter. Determination and Jelly. Donu's full of jelly. I feed it off of Donu. I know what's inside. Yeah, I think it's going to be Flame Barrier. Okay. Alright, got any good potions? No. Orange pellets, huh? Is orange pellets even good? I think orange pellets might be bad. If we proc orange pellets, our Ragnarok starts costing 3, our Omniscience are unplayable. Unless we line them up with Happy Flower. We still do have the Establishment. I don't know, we're pretty likely to be able to proc orange pellets on 1 with the innate Establishment. I kind of don't think we want it. I think we have to stay away from that one. I think that gets us killed. We've been building around Snecko Eye too long. This shop's kind of a bust. I know, right? Bad pellets. What a world. Mastered strategy is kind of insane. Maybe. We could take an extra Windmill Strike. Back up our existing Windmill Strike. Just to make sure we get one. Take Judgment to judge the heart. Card Remove and Distilled Chaos seem like the best things here. I'm not sure what the Card Remove is doing, but something. We never did find Weak. Everybody in chat promised me we would find Weak if we did Prismatic Shard, but it never happened. I guess we did technically see a Shockwave, but it was up against Bullet Time, so... I know, right? I wanted these potions to be good. Like, where's my Artifact Potion? Where's my Flex Pot? Where's, like, a Regen Pot? Give me something good. These vulnerable potions. Thank you, Pixel Mice. I appreciate some support from chat. Distilled Chaos plays 6 cards. We can only do that when Blasphemy is not on the top 6, which is kind of hard to do. Because otherwise we can lose. At least to the heart. If Blasphemy's in the top 6 against the Spire Elites, we probably just kill them. How will you atone for your sins, Pixel Noise? I will give you 3 Hail Marys and shoot. What do Catholics do? How does it work, Catholicism? I don't know. Speaking of blasphemy. Yeah, I think we can't play this unless Blasphemy is in hand or in the discard pile, right? And then card remove is Eruption, Swivel. It's probably Swivel. Three Hail Marys and 3 Bloody Marys. There you go. That's the spirit. Okay. Card removing Swivel. Thanks for being in the deck, Swivel. You were the second card we picked. Been with us a long time. We just don't need you for Act 4. We've been making cuts to all departments. Are these ever better than these? Liquid Bronze is quite good against the heart. Catholicism, how does it work? Attack Pot's good against the heart. Distilled Chaos is good against the Spire Elites. Yeah, Power Pot. I don't know what we're looking for at a Power Pot, but something. It'll be good, right? Okay. Do we have lethal? We have Omniscience in hand. Makes it look like lethal. But is it an illusion, or is it real lethal? I bet it's real lethal. Omni, Blasphemy, Ragnarok is frequently lethal in these sorts of situations. So, in this particular situation, Ragnarok would be hitting for 16 times 6. 16 times 3 is... 16 times 6 is... Wait, what? Oh, times 3. 288. Sorry, 16 times 3 is 48. 180 divided by 48 is how many hits it would take on Spire Spear. So it's 4 hits on Spire Spear, 2 hits on Spire Shield. So he would take 96 damage and go to 29, and then Wallop kills him. What if it hits? What if it kills Spire Shield? 125 divided by 48 is clearly 3, so it hit 3 and 3. So Spire Spear would take 146 damage. No, 144 damage. So he'd be at 46, and then Windmill Strike and Wallop kill him. Yeah, so we have lethal. If I did the math wrong, I'll just restart the fight. I have no shame. Blasphemy first, and then Ragnarok. Oh. For some reason, I only counted one of the copies of Ragnarok. Ragnarok was clearly lethal by itself. Bag of Marbles. It's good for getting turn 1 damage caps against the heart. I like that. You work at a Catholic church. Interesting. I have no idea how it works. That's fascinating. How did that come to be? Any of these? I think no. Prepared is too expensive. And doesn't do enough. Shrug it off. Doesn't say plus on it. Not good enough for the heart fight. Okay. Let's go do that. Yeah, turn 1, Spire Elites, this deck is silly. Alright, we have Omniscience on turn 1 here too. Probably not going to be Blasphemy killing the heart on turn 1, if I had to guess. We're always drinking that potion. We could play Protect for 0 to block beat damage and save the buffer. That seems important. We could Omniscience a Devotion. That's pretty cute. Yeah, we could Omni, and then Devotion and Talk to the Hand. Those are pretty good things to get down on turn 1. So if we Omni, Devotion, and Talk to the Hand. How many cards is that? It's 5 cards, right? No, it's 6 cards. So if we Protect, we're only blocked for the next 5 cards. So we would lose the buffer if we do that. So we'd have to Protect and Flame Barrier. And then we can still play Establishment and Deva Form because Snecko Eye decided we were going to have a good turn 1 against the heart. Which, thank you, Snecko Eye. No, we can't. Omniscience costs 3. What are you talking about? So if we want to play Omniscience, we can't play anything else, so we might as well hold the Protect. Because we're losing the buffer either way. If we play Omniscience, we actually can't play Establishment, which is kind of a big deal. Marbles will help. You've been struggling on turn 1. Hilarious. Ridiculous. Oh, wait. If we Protect and double Omniscience, we could do Talk to the Hand and, like, Pummel. That would block out. But then we're not playing double Devotion. The second Talk to the Hand will block for 3. So wait, actually that's enough. So we get 15, so the... yeah, as long as we do Talk to the Hand first, right? We'd block for 12, that gives us 5 cards. And then the second Talk to the Hand would give us the 6th card. So we can save the buffer, but then we wouldn't play Devaform. Which seems pretty insane. So we're going to do that. And we're just going to lose the buffer. It's okay. Fossilized Helix isn't very good in the heart fight. It's good in every other fight in the game. You grow to depend on it, right? You're like, Fossilized Helix is how I block on turn 1. Nope, it's not true in the heart fight. Can't do it. It's like very frequently you lose a buffer on turn 1 to the heart. Because you have to develop your stuff. It's not like an option. We can't just skip playing Devotion here. We have to go into Divinity, right? I guess we could skip Devotion. We could just Omni Talk to the Hand. Omni Talk to the Hand, Devaform. I want to play Devotion though. But keeping a buffer is really good. Gosh, this is a tough one. Oh wait, no, if I play Omni, Talk, Devotion. Yeah, then I have 1 block left, and then I Sands of Time, then I have 2 block left, and then I can Devaform for the perfect, I believe. Perfect utilization of block. I think this works. If it doesn't work, I'll restart the fight. I have no shame. Omni, Talk first, and then Devotion. Yeah. Oh, nope, we did not have 1 block. We lost our buffer there, so I was off by 1. Alright, let me restart the fight and think about this more. We already did this. We already did that. Okay. So Omni doesn't work because the second Omni gets played twice, right? So you end up playing 7 cards, not 6, right? Okay. So you play 3 copies of Omniscience and then 4 copies of the resulting cards. So if we played just Omni on Talk to the Hand, we could block out, but we can't. And I think we just do it anyway. I think getting the mantra is more important than keeping the buffer. There's a counter argument here, which is we currently have an 18-card draw pile. If we Omni, we end up with a what is it? We take 3 cards out, so a 15-card draw pile. That's a smaller pile to put the statuses into. So we'll end up with more statuses in hand potentially. I'm honestly not too worried about that though. Okay, all right, I'm gonna do it anyway. So we're gonna Omni, and then Talk to the Hand, and then Devotion. Okay. We could Sands of Time to save some health, and we might as well, because he's vulnerable this turn, and I'd like to get him... I suppose we're probably not damage capping, right? This turn. So I don't think it matters too much. Okay. And we'll save the attack pot and the Distal cost for blocking next turn. Alright, block the vulnerable. That's a big thing. Wow, we drew 3 statuses. That's pretty bad. Let's see. I should have power potted last turn. Alright, let's backflip and see what we get. Got bullet time, which lets us play Windmill Strike if we want to. We can't play Distilled Chaos because it has a 50% chance of just murdering us. Pummel blocks for a lot. We have 3, 6, 8 cards in hand, so attack pot is safe. Let's go ahead and see what's in there. Wallop is amazing. Wheel Kick's not bad either. We could, like, pummel, Wheel Kick, Bullet Time. Yeah, I was aware of the power pot on turn 1. I did choose not to play it. It's not a reset thing. It was a choice. The reason I made the choice is I thought maybe I would have excess block on some future turn. But perhaps it was worth doing. I probably should have done it because it could have been like Deva form. That's probably a mistake, but I did think about it, so I'm not going to restart to do it. Plus, it would change the RNG on these, which would be cheating. Let's see, how much does Pummel block for? It's 6 times 5, so it blocks for 30 ish. I don't think we need the Wallops for block right now, so I'm going to take a Wheel Kick. Uh, 3, 6, 9, 10 cards, so we can't Wheel Kick, we have to Prostrate first. But that's fine, it costs 0. That does put us into Divinity next turn. Let's go ahead and get this 3-cost Windmill Strike out of hand. And get a little bit of damage return. See, now we have extra blocks, so I'll use the power pot now. There's Deva form. Seems good. I'll play 2 Deva forms. Okay, we're in Divinity. We've got 10 energy. Do a big Conjure Blade. Probably want to do Ragnarok this turn. Seems like Ragnarok blocks for a lot. We have Blasphemy in hand, so we can safely Distilled Chaos. We could Conjure Blade for 12 and then Distilled Chaos it to play it immediately. Which is just absurd. 18 times 6 seems like enough to get a damage cap, though. So I'd rather take a damage cap this turn and next turn. 18 times 6 is 108. It's not enough for a damage cap. 12 times 27 clearly is. Does anybody know how this works? So if I Conjure Blade, then the Expunger is on top of the draw pile. And then when I play Distilled Chaos, it'll draw the Expunger and play it, and then it will want to shuffle. Will the Conjure Blade be in the shuffle, or will the Expunger be in the shuffle or not? Will the Expunger, like, still be in the, like, in-play zone? Or will it be discarded immediately after being played and before the next card is drawn? Does Distilled Chaos draw the top 6 cards of your deck and then play them? It does not, because they never go into your hand, right? So I think it'll be in the draw pile, which is actually super sick. Do we ever want to all for one before we do this? We get back quite a bit of stuff. Sands of Time, Prostrate. I guess it's not that much stuff. Protect. No, it's not worth 3 extra procs on the Expunger. I'm gonna do this thing. 9 times 13, you say? Show me. I think it played Expunger twice. What's happening? Oh, this is Exhume. I'll take a Talk the Hand back. I've heard that card's pretty good. Okay, so we got a Bullet Time as well. So there's 5 cards in here, so Expunger is in there. Wait, that's so strange. Oh, all 6 cards was supposed to be in there, but the Exhume isn't, because it can't be. Okay. So I guess I'll play the Talk to the Hand. We've clearly already damage capped this turn. Let's play that. All for One gets us back to 0-cost Protect. So we should probably play that. We have no draw, so Sanctity isn't going to draw anything. But I'll be in Calm for next turn, and take back my my 0-cost thing, if you please. I'll go ahead and Ragnarok just for fun. Make a big chunk on next turn's damage cap as well. 90 damage from Flame Barrier. We just go right back into Divinity. It's funny how that works. 15 energy this time. 3, 6, 9 cards, so Wheel Kick is safe, and it does 50 damage. Jiminy. Let's go and make sure that Wallop gets shuffled in. And we want to draw the Sands of Time. And we don't want any of these cards to be in the shuffle particularly. Good. I was hoping to avoid drawing Expunger there, because we want it for next turn's damage cap. Let's develop the Establishment. And I guess get some Mantra for later. We do not want a Black Flip, because we're done doing stuff this turn. Save the Expunger. Same with Windmill Strike. Okay. Oh wait, we overdrew there, shoot. I should have played one of those cards, because I just overdrew. My bad. This is like the one turn when we're not in Blasphemy. Or in Divinity. Expunger seems good. I've heard that 11 times 13 is a large number. Don't forget to play Protect for BM. Good point, I missed that one. We have not damage capped, but we've clearly put ourselves in range for a kill next turn. So now we just Wheel Kick to get closer to Expunger again. And then I guess like Ragnarok to make sure we get the damage cap. Wallop for 0 block, which is fun. Doesn't happen very often. Wait, did that actually... No, it gave me the Talk to the Hand block. Yeah. Technically positive block. Play the Vigilance for sure. And, I guess Sands of Time to get it out of hand, so that I draw 10. Okay. Dang, where's that Calipers? Calipers would be good right now. We did not draw the Expunger. Ooh, we can kill him with Flame Barrier, right? Yeah, he takes 60 damage to Flame Barrier here. All we have to do is block. So Flame Barrier, Protect, Sanctity. We have to block for 60, though. Second Flame Barrier is key. All for One would get back a Protect. Okay. Your turn, Heart. Aww. He didn't get to do all his attacks. Something stopped him. Darn. Well, that was just an absolute tour de force of Watcher, Snecko Eyes start, Pandora's Box. It was a 3 energy deck, but, you know, it was also a 17 energy deck, so... a Prismatic Shard. Definitely the highlight of the run. Lots of silly meme stuff. Bullet Hell, Flame Barriers, Exhume, All for One even got in there. Thanks for the follow, Sepa Steve. Appreciate the support. Welcome to the Vegetable Patch. That's right, Shard Streak. That's what we're on now. That was very silly. We ended up Pandora's Box swapping into the Conjure Blade, and as soon as we got the Conjure Blade swap, there were lots of calls in chat for us to remove it from the deck because Conjure Blade is generally a bad card. But it worked pretty well this time. Most of the work was done by Omniscience Ragnarok, though. Almost every fight in the entire run was won on turn one by some combination of Omniscience, Blasphemy, Ragnarok, and Akabiko. Definitely the thickest Akabiko I've ever seen. Akabiko Ragnarok is no joke in any deck, and in a deck with a Blasphemy, it was pretty absurd. Two Omnisciences was a great pickup for the Dolly's Mirror. It gave us much more reliable turn one Omniscience. Yeah, not too much to say about this one. That was an easy ride.